All right, we are now live with the impromptu Legends of the Five Rings one-shot, The Valley of Waterfalls. So why don't we go around, introduce ourselves to our viewing audience. Be sure to be a small audience. Perhaps, Sean, you can start.
Hey there, I'm Sean. I'm from Toronto.
That's it, and now Nick.
I am Nick, one of two Nicks. Nick G, maybe, is a easy way to differentiate. I'm from the Philadelphia area. I have a YouTube account. If you look, Ferric Zorn, Xorn. If you're curious, I have a couple live plays up there within the Ring of Fire, Star Wars one-shot, and more to come in the near future.
All right. Nick, is that one-shot with Star Wars, that Fantasy Flight? Is that correct?
It is the Fantasy Flight.
Oof, okay. And last but...
They just got rid of all the Warhammer stuff.
Yes, their license expired, I believe.
I am the other Nick. We apparently always come in sets of two, I guess. Yeah, I'm in Florida. I'm going to college right now for game design, actually. So I don't have anything to plug right now, but in the next couple of years, you might see my last name on something. But yeah.
All right, excellent. And as we join our daring heroes, they are traveling through Rokugan, more specifically through the Oyama Valley, a valley renowned for its beautiful soaring cliffs and waterfalls, for its many rivers that feed a tremendous agricultural base. The Oyama Valley is most rich in terms of rice production, in terms of food production in general. There's even some pan mining for jade in those rivers. So it's a most prosperous and idyllic valley. But our heroes, who are members of the Yumi Witch Hunters, have come here on their regular patrol, seeking out sorcery, blood magic, and mayho to put down and suppress, to find spirits that are restless, that have turned against the people, and help them come back into sync with humanity. So as we join you, you're coming into this beautiful sun and mist-filled valley. There's lush green grass growing. You see the huge cliffs with their beautiful waterfalls down the valley, hanging vines and moss along the sides of this valley. You can see villages spread out through there, a tremendous wealth of people, and you can probably see the castle spreading up at the end of the valley as well. And you know that this is the castle of Daimyo Hada Kazuyuki, and the Kazuyuki family is most wealthy, as I've said, because their valley is so prosperous. So you've been traveling for at least some weeks, if not months. Why don't we go around and introduce our player characters?
I'll start. My character's name is Kai, and he is part of Earth Crab in Clan Crab. Kai is a very physically imposing and muscular guy. He's just a huge, huge guy. He's quite antisocial and rather insensitive. He's a bit of a grump, but he's amazing in a fight. He has several scars, faded scars all over his body, and he is shaved bald except for a top knot.
All right, I believe Kai was from the Hida family, which is one of the higher-ranked families within the Crab clan. So he carries a lot of prestige behind his name. You know, it's almost the equivalent, if you think of like Game of Thrones, that you know, he's a Stark, perhaps. So he might not be Lord Stark, but when you're dealing with you know, some lower-ranked families that nobody's ever heard of, certainly that name will carry a lot of weight, the Hida name.
And that's why he barely gets away with his bad temper and foul manners.
And that's kind of a reputation that the entire Hida family has. They're not they're warriors, and anything that gets in the way of war making, they have very little time for it.
I'll go next. My character's name is Akagi. He is not as tall or as imposing as our friend Kai, but the look in his eyes that is so often there really gives you the sense not to mess with him, because he is quite fearsome in battle and is very eager to always be in battle. So he may not be the easiest person to talk to, but he is someone you definitely want on your side in a fight. He does come from the family of Hiruma, which, being new to this game, I have no idea what that means.
The Hiruma family are they're very highly placed. They tend to be more mobile and active, whereas the Haida clan is more strong and enormous and unstoppable. So the the Hiruma clan, they've actually lost their lands to demons. The Great Wall, the Carpenter Wall, was built to keep demons out of the Empire, but before it was built, your family's lands were overtaken. So your family's traditional lands are on the wrong side of the wall. And in the centuries since, you've become very good scouts, archers, very nimble, very good at surviving in the Shadowlands, those demon-haunted realms. And of course, you make excellent witch hunters because of that.
And finally, rounding out this trio of individuals is hailing from the same family of the Hiruma family, is Matsui, a man of somewhat short stature, lean rather than bulky, maybe about 5'5", wearing or upon him is the bow, the Yumi bow that he is never without. Perhaps a stranger sort of individual, given the prejudices and stereotypes that the outsider clans, the other clans who do not know the crab very well, might anticipate from a bushi of that clan bordering those demon-infested lands. A very empathetic man, one who's found the struggles and strifes of being on that border, that constant war front, not igniting so much a rage within his heart, but a fearsome desire to protect friend and family, taking very seriously the virtues of honesty and sincerity of the way of the Bushido. Not a pacifist by any means, but someone who would like to defend, would like to stop a fight from happening, if at all possible. Of course, if this were between two humans, when the shadow touched and the demon spawn are concerned, there is no mercy. And he is quite often, or perhaps he would be in his dreams of honor and protecting daimyo and friend alike, to be the first one in, last one out.
All right. So you're coming now into the Oyama Valley. You know, you're walking down the Great Road, the Hanshiro River, which is the main river and tributary It's just winding through the valley, the sun glimmering off of it, many small tributaries, most of them just little streams pouring into that Hanshiro River. So you can see the peasants going about their work, the terraces of rice farms moving up the mountainside towards the Yasuda Mountains, which loom above you. And once again, yes, you do see Castle Kazayuki in the distance. Of course, you each carry your traveling papers identifying who you are officially. The Kazayuki family is subservient to your own. In fact, they're directly subservient to the Haida family. So Kai would certainly have some additional leverage over them. Standard procedure would be to go to the castle, introduce yourselves to the daimyo, tell them why you're here, and ask him if there's anything that you should be aware of as you're searching for evidence of evil spirits. So what do you do? How do you move through the valley? How has your journey been so far, and how are your characters getting along with one another?
Surprisingly, perhaps unnervingly quiet, especially given the portent for our coming. It's interesting. It's a strange respite from where at least I, and as I've understand it from our communications, our conversations along the road and along the way, more active, more violent activities from whence we have come. It's strange. Occasionally, perhaps one of us, certainly me, will get jittery sometimes, get getting startled at certain things, and perhaps overreacting to them, and trying my best to play it off. But us two of the Harumi family, I think we both would have certainly some commonalities with which to communicate with each other, get along. It's been some time since
In fact, I believe your gentler, quiet nature would pair well with my kind of rashness. I think it would certainly balance each other out.
Kai is a man of action and few words, unless they are of anger. And he appreciates the company of stalwart samurai warriors such as himself along the road in tranquil silence.
All right, so it's probably a fairly quiet journey through the valley then. The mist rising up from some of those waterfalls, the cool breeze coming down from the mountains. It is somewhat hot and humid, but thankfully that breeze really does make it pleasant rather than unbearable and sticky. And it's not very long before you do come up upon Kazayuki Castle, before you present yourselves to the steward, who's very happy, of course, to obsequiate himself before you, to bow and usher you in to the castle proper, to have your official introduction to the daimyo, to Hara Kazayuki. Sorry, just one sec, guys.
Look upon these lands. It's tranquility we have so rarely the opportunity, the luxury to enjoy. There's a lesson in this, I think, a wisdom behind the sense, the blowing of the leaves, the trees, the blossoms as they turn. It is for this which we fight for so brutally at times. But it is a good lesson to be reminded of what goodness still exists so near a dark land. Not to
I believe you
lose
talk too
ourselves.
much about the wind, Matsui. Too much about the wind.
I'm impatient to see the daimyo. Why have we been waiting so long? This is insulting.
The steward does indeed return. It is a bit of a wait. You're right. Could be construed as rudeness. Although Kai might be quick to construe many things as rudeness, paradoxically. But the
Surely
steward,
Daimyo has many responsibilities, of course. I am certain he is giving us his utmost attention, but the responsibilities of one of his station are many. Relax, my friend, relax. Not much longer now.
and the steward does show you in to the daimyo's hall. It is a most massive and decorative hall. There are great pillars lining the side. There's an enormous dais at the end with a throne, with a ceremonial display of his armor, which is most ornate and resplendent with several different weapons showing there. So very massive. There's gold. There's fine cedar wood for the floors. There are carpets and lush hangings and fabrics. And of course, lining the hall are his courtiers, his samurai and bodyguards. And you can see that he supports a very large court. They're all very well dressed. There's a lot of silk in evidence, a little bit of jewelry as well, which is generally frowned upon in Rokugan as being too ostentatious. But certainly in this grand hall, almost seems to call for it. And as you walk through this crowd, you're coming up to the daimyo's throne, and you can see him seated there above you, cross-legged, of course, on this ornate throne, depicting waves checked in gold. And Hada Kazuyuki is a man who's probably in his late 50s. It's fairly obvious that his hair and beard are dyed, that they're very dark black, and he's a man who doesn't look the age to support that. You think he must be dyeing his hair, but he has these large mutton chops coming forward as well. He's a very large, rotund man, quite gone to fat in his old age. He's wearing a blue silken kimono as he sits there, and he's kind of languidly fanning himself with this paper fan. So how do you comport yourself to the daimyo? Have you left your weapons behind or taken them into his presence? How deeply do you bow and obsequiate yourself before this man?
What is a typical custom for this?
Typically,
Or do I have to make a check for that?
No, you wouldn't have to.
Okay.
For greeting someone higher than your own station, you'd at least have to bow at the chest. The waist would be preferred. Anything less than that, just a head nod, would be considered insulting. And for peasants, of course, you have to fall on your knees and touch your forehead to the ground. that would be the most obsequiating gesture you could make. Now, as I said, his family is technically a vassal to your own family, Kai. So you certainly could try to take advantage from that.
So I'm just wearing I'll wear my armor and my weapons. I just walk in and I give him the shallow bow that is required by minimum.
All right. And,
I would definitely do the same.
Excellent. And what about?
I'll support that.
And once again, differing from my companions, I have left my weapons. I'm not sure if it's custom to still take your katana and your wakizashi, or just your wakizashi, into the presence of a daimyo.
The most polite thing would be to leave all of your weapons behind. The wakizashi is the weapon most samurai would not want to part with, but in the presence of a daimyo, your average samurai would even leave that behind.
Okay.
But it's not considered a grave insult to go fully armed, but it is a slight insult.
No, I will leave that all behind, eager as I am to enjoy this place that seems so peaceful. And I give the full waist level bow as is appropriate. No more, no less.
All right, and you can see Daimyo Hada, looking at you, his eyes going from the shallow bow to the other, and then finally with Matsui, he seems to calm down very slightly. You get the feeling, because he's not very good at hiding his emotions, so you get the feeling that's unusual for a daimyo. So either he's very strong-tempered, or else he carries a lot of sway over this court. But his steward will come forward and accept your traveling papers, the scroll, come forward and present it to the daimyo, who will take it up and unroll the parchment, and he's basically pretending to read it. Of course, the steward would have read it and told him what it said, but this is a formal process of introduction. So as he kind of rolls it back up and presents it to the steward, who returns it to you, there's this kind of lingering silence. You can kind of see emotions playing on the face of the daimyo. And finally, he looks at you. He'll probably actually address himself to Matsui, who showed him the most respect. And he'll say, "Witch hunters, I welcome you to my valley. May you share my countenance and our prosperity."
Gratitude is ours for receiving us and for your display of hospitality. It is warming to the heart.
Do the other two hunters say anything to him?
Probably not me.
I just look at him, and I try to take a measure of him.
All right. Make a courtier test to read him.
Yeah.
If you have it.
I don't think I have that skill. Let me just look.
No, you don't. But you can then make a awareness test, which I believe you have 2.
Yeah.
So 2 keep 2.
Could I make a courtier check?
Absolutely.
That's a 6.
All right. He's largely unreadable to you, Kai.
Impassive, huh?
Yeah. To our fire crab, I believe you have 2 ranks of courtier, and your awareness is 2, so it's 4 keep 2 that you want to roll.
Alrighty. A 6 and a 6.
All right, so 12 total. So you can tell, Akagi, you can tell that he's very upset at your bows, and that you've come to him armed. But he's holding this in check. And being so intelligent, you must think there's some reason he's not, he's not scolding us, yelling at us, casting us from his door. He definitely seems like the kind of man who's not really good at hiding his emotion. He probably is given to outbursts of anger, and you can tell that, not only in his initial unhappiness at your bows, but also in the cringing nature of all of his courtiers, the fact that his palace is so resplendent that he clearly thinks very highly of himself. But he is being polite to you, so you think there must be a reason that he's being so polite.
And I can address him. Like, I don't want to like break culture or like the stuff, but I can address him.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I would say. Apologies, Daimyo, for coming to you so presently armed and armored, but given the times and the circumstances of our being here, I would not want to fail to defend not just ourselves, but your person as well.
Of course, I forgive you, Akagi. I know that the lands beyond my own are fraught with danger and turbulence. I know that not all daimyo can keep their land as safe as I have the Oyama Valley nested in my arms. And he's almost making this statement to the courtiers rather than to you. Like he is looking at you, but he's really making it like a proclamation, like these outsiders have come from a dangerous land, and now they will see my hospitality and how I, the great daimyo, keep my land safe.
What time of day is it right now?
I'd imagine it's just before noon.
I say we are long and weary from our travels and require refreshment.
And he turns and he bows, he nods his head towards you, which is a respectable gesture from a daimyo. And he says, "Of course, my house is yours. But knowing the excellent reputation of my lords from Clan Hida, I must comport business before pleasure. I must tell you that though I have done all to make my valley safe from banditry and from war, a shadow has fallen over my peasantry. Were it anyone else who came before me, I would not make mention of such. But I know in the eyes of a witch hunter, the seemingly mundane can hold great portent. The peasants have said corpses have floated down from the mountainside. They have said men have gone missing by the riverside. They have said their offerings are not being accepted at the shrines to the water spirits.
How many have gone missing?"
He kind of like looks slightly confused, as if he never even thought of asking. It's like, who can tell? The peasants are many in my fine valley. But I will tell you that a man of note, that Oryo Yatsuhiro, has disappeared. Oryo was a sensitive man, a man who paid great heed to the spirits, to the kami. He thought that these rumors from the peasants should be investigated. He took up his katana and went into the mountains, but he has not returned.
How long ago did he do this?
It was a week ago. Truly it is blessed that you have come before us, for it had only yesterday been put to me to try to find some tale of him. But Providence, but the kami of our great land, have now sent you noble witch hunters to take up Orio's cause, to find him in the mountains.
So you do not know how many peasants have gone missing.
He kind of shrugs and shakes his head as if it doesn't matter. They're just peasants. He has a very casual air about the peasantry.
So I give another bow at sort of his words of Providence, and your words are wise, daimyo. It is true that matters mundane often can be far more, as is the case with witchcraft and the dark things that we hunt, protect good, honest folk from. I agree with you. If you would give us the location as to where this Urio Yatsuhito disappeared, which area in the village that he made his abode, we will seek to travel in his footsteps and hopefully set right whatever is amiss here.
He bows to you again and says, "A guide shall be summoned for you while you take your sup." You can see he's kind of smiling at this, like everything is really falling into place for him. The way he said previously that, "Oh, you've now arrived, so you can take care of it," it almost sounded like an order, like he was telling you what to do. He was perhaps just shy of being overt about it.
Yeah.
But again, he's kind of showing off to his court, saying, "Oh, these witch hunters have shown up, and I'll get them to do it because I'm so wise and powerful."
Mm.
You know, he wasn't super overt in doing that. Kai might not have noticed, but but anyone with like ranks in courtier might start to think like he's treating us a little bit like servants before him.
Are peasants of? I'm just curious. Are peasants of any value in this world?
No, not really.
No, I don't think so.
So some people are nice to the peasants, but
Yeah.
most people are not.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Right.
Okay.
Have any of the priests noted?
I want him to send his servants out to find some of the families who have lost people, because I wish to question them, and I want them summoned here at once. And I look at him, and that's the way I say it, with a demanding tone.
You can see an unhappy look comes over his face, like, you know, you're now ordering him around, but he can't call you out on this. You are witch hunters, and it is your right to make certain demands. And he kind of smiles, a fake smile. Says, "Of course, we will be happy to do everything that we can to set right the evils of this rumor."
Have there been any portents from the priests of the spirits, the kami, being unhappy or not given proper respect from the peasantry?
He looks at you and kind of frowns more darkly, And he says, there is a monastery in our hills, but we have no priests in our valley. We prefer to worship the fortunes at our shrines and not have ourselves dictated to. We are men of action here in the Oyama Valley. And as he says this, you know, you can see again his courtiers kind of nodding their heads, agreeing like, yes, yes, we are excellent, aren't we? But all of you who really are men of action would probably look at him. He's this big, fat blob in silk with his hair dye, and you know, you'd kind of say like, this doesn't look like a man of action.
Has he sent a servant already to fetch the peasants?
Yeah, he'd probably do so right away.
Okay, he did it right away?
Yeah.
I say also summon Oreo Yatsura's family here at once. We wish to question them.
He nods, and he actually gestures to some of the courtiers. You can see kind of a space clears, and a few of the courtiers step forward. And he says, Oreo is a member of my court. His family is nestled here safely under my protection.
So they're in court right now?
Yes.
Okay, all right. Well, we shall commence the questioning after lunch. I look at my companions and nod and see if they agree.
Yeah, I agree. I nod heartily and smile.
Good to take time to consider this news.
All right. You can say the daimyo nods his head again. Says, "Very well. I shall speak to you after your repast." And you can also detect in this, like, he's not offered to eat with you or have you dine with him.
Will you not join us for lunch?
And he kind of he gets this look on his face of you know, just slight anger, and you can see him like he clearly does not want to eat with you, because that would be kind of bringing you up closer to his level, but at the same time you can tell that he doesn't want to piss you off, because he does want you to go and deal with this matter for him.
If he's looking really upset, I'll offer to help my friend. After all, we are all protectors of the land.
And he'll kind of like swallow his anger and say, "It would be my honor to dine with one of the renowned members of Clan Hida." And he bows to you somewhat more deeply and respectfully than he'd been bowing previous, as if he's trying to overcompensate for his anger.
Hmm.
And,
I know.
then,
Now that we've established pecking order. Don't make me kill another daimyo.
Please don't.
Swath of destruction.
Yes. I note these proceedings. I'm not completely oblivious, though I'm not wise to the ways of court. I do know the hot-tempered ways of my companion, and I simply hope to myself that everything will go well.
So he'll clap his hand and have them begin preparing lunch for the entire court. As you know, the court should eat with him, and he clearly has accepted your invitation to eat, and he knows that you're hungry. So keeping you waiting, keeping you waiting would be somewhat rude at this point. And you can tell just by his rotund countenance that, he probably doesn't miss a lot of meals. So, but indeed, a sumptuous feast is spread out for you, probably a little better than what they'd usually take. There's all kinds of variety of seafood, of vegetables and sumptuous sauces, of tofu, of course rice, sake, and other rice wines imported from other areas. So it's a very, very fine meal that's set out before you guys.
Is this sort of in obviously it's more formal than what we're doing on the road, but is this like a ceremonial type thing, like a tea ceremony, or is it?
The quality of the food is definitely of standard that most houses would be having a more formal dinner, but you can see that his court actually seems, if anything, more lax in their in their ceremony, in their propriety, as if they're somewhat less concerned with formality and more concerned that Daimyo Hada is happy. Like he's clearly positioned himself as being a step above everybody else there, and so when there's when there's greater political stratification, in this case, there's less jostling for position, and formalities start to be eased off on a little bit.
Okay, got it.
I eat only the most expensive food, and I don't touch any of the common cheap stuff.
All right.
I eat whatever is in front of me, and the entire time I am telling people around me, the epics of Akagi, in the lands beyond the wall and the lost lands, and how I've slain demons and monsters and for my family's honor.
All right. Actually, let me maybe make a courtier roll to see if you're able to get to boost your reputation up. So again, I think. Yes, sir.
Well, I got a 10. I got 2 10s.
All right. And actually, I'll point out there are exploding dice. So anytime you roll a 10, roll an extra 10 and add that to your grand total.
So since I rolled 2 10s, roll 2 other 10s?
Yes, sir.
So 29.
All right. So you've greatly embellished your reputation, and they believe every word of it. And you can see a lot of nods and looks of admiration. Some of the ladies at court are paying you special attention. You can see them whispering to each other and giggling, looking over in your direction. So you've become quite the darling of Kazuyuki Court. And you can see Daimyo Hada kind of glaring across the table at you as he sees you loudly boasting and telling these stories, and it's like everybody's laughing and joking along with you, and he's glaring as if he was hoping that they would ignore you and no-sell you, and but they've actually gotten into it. So
as I pick up a little bit on that, and I am of course aware of Kai's ways, and as we're together in this dining situation, I'm as an excuse to continue my my waxing philosophic about how great things are here compared to where we've been, how we typically spend our days and our meals. Knowing something of the lore of families and the regions, I recount such stories. How lovely it is to partake, and that indeed the stories do not do justice to the realms of the Kazuyuki Is it the Kazuyuki family or is it the Hara family?
It's the Kazuyuki family.
That's the Kazuyuki land.
I'm writing the names Western style. I know I probably shouldn't, but it's just a habit. It'll be very hard for me to break that habit.
Is Oreo's family at the table?
They are, yes.
Okay, I ask them what they know of Oreo's disappearance.
All right. Before we come over to that, Nick, can you make either a sincerity or a courtier test to see how much you've impressed the court with your philosophical waxings? Sincerity is basically your ability to tell the truth, which is only a samurai game would have that as a stat. But so if you were actually being honest, make a sincerity test.
I actually am being honest for sure.
All right. And, you're very good at being honest. You got 3 in sincerity.
I think it's 63.
Yes, sir.
So I will keep these. What is that? Is that a 24 or 20?
22.
22.
All right. So you can see some of the older members of the court were kind of looking over at Akagi as he's bragging. You can see if anyone is not impressed by Akagi, it's the old curmudgeons. But as you start to speak philosophically, you're really speaking their language, and the young ladies and the hot-blooded samurai are perhaps not as interested in the philosophical prose, but the older people at the table are certainly won over by this. You can see a few nods in your direction and smiles as you're putting over their valley. So between the two of you, you've got like everybody at the table is most enamored of these witch hunters.
Do you want me to trump them? I could just describe my last adventure when I slew a daimyo.
Yeah, I don't know if that would help. That might like put you under.
No, I start talking
I
to
was
Oreos.
so rude that they challenged me to a duel, those idiots, and I clubbed him to death. I don't know if that would go over.
All right. Yeah, I start loudly asking Oreo's family about the missing disappearance of Oreo and the circumstances that led him to go and when they last saw him, his state of mind, so on and so forth.
All right.
I want to make sure that the daimyo hears me doing this and the rest of the court.
All right. So his brother, Chiba Yatsuhiro, excuse me, his brother Chiba Yatsuhiro is there, and he'll probably speak up for the family. Although you can see Oreo's wife is there, probably his father is there as well. But Chiba's the one who speaks up, Oreo's brother. And he says, my brother has always been concerned overmuch with the spirits, with the peasants. His heart is perhaps too large, and at times it cost him. Surely listening to this gossip has cost him most dearly, for he set off into the mountains with no servants or retainers, save perhaps a peasant guide. It is most likely, in my opinion, that guide led him into a bandit ambush, and he never should have listened to the rumors of the peasantry.
Do you know who this guide was?
He kind of shakes his head. Some peasant. As if all peasants are basically the same guy in his opinion.
And this happened a week ago? And no one has sent out retainers to search for him?
And Chiba glances back.
And I look at the daimyo.
Up at Daimyo Hada, and says, it had been discussed in court. Chiba is saying. Pretty much everyone in Samurai Cat. So not all of them are warriors. Warriors are called bushi, although in fact, but most of them are here. Although sizing him up, you're not sure how dangerous he actually is. Oh my! Am I cutting in and out for you guys?
Yeah, for
Yeah.
me.
Sean that's having problems.
Is it just me, or is it everybody
No.
else?
It was cutting out for
I
me a
think you're
little bit.
cutting.
Okay. All right. Okay. Sorry. So no one has been sent out to find him?
No, Chibo will say it had been discussed in court, but no resolution had been made. I myself argued against it, for I had warned my brother not to go into the mountains, not to listen to this peasant rumor.
Why would you argue against that? He's your brother.
Because there is no reason. Peasants have rumors all the time. Every day there's a new rumor in the village.
So even if it's a bandit camp and it's nearby, you're happy and satisfied with it being so close to the city and the castle that you wouldn't investigate this? And I look at the daimyo.
The daimyo he's still just kind of watching to see exactly what Chiba is going to say. And Chiba does say that I believe that even the best of peasants with the strongest leadership will fall to evil ways if we samurai present them with an opportunity to do evil.
I understand this, and this is fine. However, if it is a bandit camp, it is sitting on the outskirts of your village, ready and waiting, and you've done nothing to investigate it. I turn to the daimyo and I ask him this.
The daimyo kind of shakes his head, and I believe what Chiba is saying is that if the peasants hear of a rich man going into the hills, they will become bandits, if only for an evening. And if that is the fate that has befallen Oryo, then perhaps he has brought his own doom upon him.
Why would they rob someone who probably only took his weapon and food with him?
For a peasant, a well-crafted katana can be a most prized treasure indeed.
Sure. However, for a peasant to own a katana, many questions in town would be raised. I sincerely doubt a peasant would be able to sell this, even on the black market, without drawing attention. I assume that if he had a katana, it would probably have some sort of family sigil in it.
It may or it may not.
Okay.
It would have the stamp of the maker of the weapon, so it would be identifiable, but it might not be that highly customized.
So, noting that things are getting really tense here,
Yeah, my conversation's going nowhere, so I'm kind of going to end that line.
say, I believe we can all here agree amongst ourselves that the ways of the peasants are mercurial and strange, sometimes prone to truths, sometimes not. We can equally all agree based on Oryo's deed. I sort of look to Chiba as I'm saying this, based on Oryo's deeds, that his adherence to the virtue of courage is honorable and cannot be disputed. Equally, whether this is the result of bandits, traitorous peasants, or something else, we must all now ponder upon the virtue of duty. A member of the courtier family, a honored brother, member of court, is in danger, or perhaps worse, and we must rouse ourselves to action in this.
I ask him if he knows which peasant came to him with the rumors.
Are you asking? I'd assume you're asking Chiba.
Yes.
Chiba will probably he'll like glance over at Oreo's wife and then look at you and say, "My brother was very close with some of the fisher folk. I believe it was one of them who told him of these rumors."
Is it acceptable to address a widow?
Yes, although you're not sure that she's a widow yet, but yes.
Well, yeah, I ask his wife a similar question. Is this true? I say.
So her name is Amane Yatsuhiro, but she looks very reticent to discuss this, and she kind of like looks down at the table and looks back up at you, and says, my husband always gave ear to the peasant folk. And that's pretty much all she says. Like, she's clearly very reticent to speak.
After hearing all the stuff about, all the, that they're afraid, basically, of if they go out to check and see if Chiba is, or Oreo is captured or killed or anything like that, I'll definitely pipe up and say, my family, the Haruma family, lost our land not to peasants, but to demons. Surely, and I'm trying to play upon the hot-blooded samurai who were so enamored with my tales. I'll say, surely the men of this court are not as scared as they are of peasants and demons. Surely there are some among here who would brave the pitchforks of the peasantry to find another member of court.
You can see a lot of them nodding in agreement, and but also glancing back up at the daimyo, at Daimyo Hida, and he's
I'm really subtly calling the daimyo kind of a coward. Really subtly, though.
Yeah, and you can see Hada is scowling at this, and as the samurai are kind of looking up at him, like shaking their heads, and he's like, and they kind of stop shaking their heads so enthusiastically and go back to eating.
And I say, or the hooks and nets of fishermen. I add to my colleague's statement, and laugh because they mentioned fishermen. Just to dovetail that into the pitchfork thing.
Yeah.
We get no response?
Not really. The daimyo is kind of trying to ignore you.
I will say.
I already implied that he
clearly
did nothing to investigate Oreo, but yeah.
Clearly, us witch hunters, who are so disposable yet revered, will get this job done, regardless of who was at our backs. Be it you young noble samurai, or the honorable daimyo.
We would be honored if you, I say, looking to Chiba, trying to, as soon as as my colleague ceases talking, to continue the flow of conversation to prevent an uproar. As brother of Oreo, I have no doubt there are none among us who yearn more to determine his fate and bring him home safely, if that can be achieved. If you would desire it, to travel with us to see that this is done, it would be our honor to have you accompany us.
Chiba kind of looks at you scornfully and says, "Did I not already say that I had spoken against my brother going? That I warned him this was a fool's errand? And that I had told as much to our great daimyo and recommended that no search be conducted for Oreo?"
Then you have doomed your own blood and family.
He has doomed himself, sir.
I'll scoff and wave him away.
You can see Chiba's like very insulted at both of you, and you know, he's like almost like turning red in the face. Of course, Kai, you would think, you know, if you're so insulted, why don't you challenge someone to a duel? but indeed, he looks insulted enough that he probably should be trying to call somebody out, stand up for himself, but he's also kind of sizing you guys up, and he doesn't want to die. So he's
Fair enough.
he is speaking with a little bit of scorn in his voice, but he's not actually making any official challenge against you.
So, well, I don't know if there's many questions we have for these guys other than just enraging people.
Yeah.
Well, most of the
that was
court
pretty much all I was doing.
most of the court certainly agrees with you, and you're certainly hurting the position of the daimyo. I don't know if you're really hurting Chiba very much. I don't know if they really had a huge amount of respect for Chiba in the first place, but certainly most of the court are on your side rather than the daimyo's side. But
Chiba's a peon. He doesn't matter.
he is.
So,
That's true.
yeah.
So, see, we could totally push and try to get some extra legs with us on the journey. At the expense of presumably being ordered to kill ourselves. So, I mean...
But he doesn't have
50-50.
he doesn't have any kind of direct control over you, does this daimyo?
Oh.
Like as witch hunters, you're largely independent to avoid anyone, you know, tampering with your investigations.
I asked.
You certainly could make an official request, and he'd almost certainly have to send someone with you. But a larger party, you know, faces different challenges from a smaller one. So, you know, you'd lose any kind of stealth advantage. People would be able to see you coming from a long way off. Spirits would certainly be the same way.
I look at my colleague and say, look at his men. Do you really want them on the journey with us? Untrained greenhorns? Come on.
All right. You can see the daimyo just like he's shocked that you'd say anything so direct.
They are not like us.
And as you say that, I'll say, I agree, colleague. I see not even a Tonto among them.
And Chiba,
I'm horrified too.
Gasoline.
This is not. This is not good.
And Chiba finally loses it, and he slams his fists on the table, and he jumps up to his feet, and he reaches for his wakizashi, and he's looking right at you, Kai. And he says, "How dare you insult this court?" Will
we
you
both
back
know.
this up with steel?
I say, give me a second here. I say, do you really wish to ruin my meal, boy?
And he's still got his hand on his wakizashi. If you will not stand like a man, I will cut you down like a dog where you sit.
I pull out my war club and I just pointed at him. Are you sure you've thought this through?
And at that point, the daimyo will actually kind of bellow out across the hall. He'll like slam his hand on the table and say, "Chiba, you clearly overindulged in the sake. I invite you to withdraw your challenge against our honored guests." And he kind of gives Chiba this look as if like, you know, this is your only chance to not die. And Chiba is he's still looking at you, Kai, and he's just like shaking with rage. And he says, "Perhaps it is our honored guest who has indulged in the sake, and if he wishes to make his apology, then I will accept it. But otherwise, this must be met with blood."
When he says apology, I roar with laughter.
Yeah, I do too.
I look absolutely distraught here, as this is this senseless almost violence, which surely will now result in at least one senseless loss of life.
It's my colleague that's taking this on. But anyway.
He has formally challenged you, though, Kai. So.
Oh yeah, I tell him to meet me outside in the courtyard, and I walk out.
All right. And he stands up and starts to follow you out as well.
We are really good at making friends.
I didn't want to
Oh, yeah.
fight, actually, but anyway.
It's hard
You
not
always,
to at this
you
point.
always say that, and yet.
And yet. What is the decorum for this? Are we expected all to bear witness to this thing, to move out, or are we
I'm not
continuing?
gonna miss it. I don't know what.
Well, yeah, the daimyo is like fanning himself at rapid speed now, and he stands up and he's shaking his head and he starts to follow out. The whole court is kind of following the two out. So they'll be heading like right out of the castle. So kind of like there's this probably like on the road out towards the river. Unless you make some request that you seek out your armor.
I before I leave, I say, if you're not out there in 10 minutes, I'll start without you.
All right.
Somehow.
Chiba is most.
I'll find some random guy.
Just to egg it on, right? Because you know what? If I'm gonna double down.
Chiba will be the first one out after you, certainly.
Okay.
So yes, these two have come out. So again, we're in the beautiful sunlit valley, the castle on one side, the river on the other side. We're on this kind of road between the two. The court has all gathered around. They're actually kind of probably spread out a little bit. The last time you fought a duel, all the court was on one side and you were on the other side. But this time the court is not really behind either one of you, like officially. So they're kind of spread out around the area.
Is this guy anything of a fighter? Like, does he look like he knows what he's doing, or is he?
You can make a kenjutsu test to size him up.
Oh, okay. Yep. Oh, hang on. So it's I got a 13. I
All
think
right.
I keep 2, or do I keep 3?
Let me check your sheet.
Oh, this is agility, so that's 2. So 13.
Okay. He looks like he knows how to fight to some degree.
Hmm.
but you, based on the way he's moving,
I'm gonna
the way,
cream him.
yeah,
Okay.
you think he's like an average fighter,
Yep.
whereas you're a very, very good fighter. Now
Uh,
he's only wearing like his kimono, and he has he was only wearing a wakizashi, but someone runs a katana out to him. Now, did you remove your armor
No.
before eating? I'd assume.
No.
Oh, you were eating in your armor.
Yeah.
Oh my god. All right.
We
But
went right
as
to
he's
lunch.
kind of, well, I kind of assumed that you guys would have at least taken the time to take your armor off while the dinner was being set.
cool and
But
closing stories.
that's
Better if you have armor on.
It's very.
that's not a.
It's really pushing it. But say la vie.
No wonder you're so cranky all the time.
You're gonna
Jesus.
take
Take your armor off. Have a Snickers.
Yeah, you're not yourself when you're.
Thanks, Akagi, for starting this.
Yeah, right.
And you put me in the fight.
I apologize, but I'm not sorry, if you know what I mean. As it starts to begin and as the crowds gather, I will walk up. Is it appropriate, adhering to some formality, to approach the daimyo and stand next to him as this happens, or do I have to keep some
Sure.
obeisance away?
No, you can stand next to the daimyo. That's not a problem.
So I will stand there with my arms behind my back, clasping the wrist of my other hand, and kind of just, chatter and say, perhaps this was fated by the commies of this land.
He just looks so upset. He's so mad that this has happened.
A
The
test
daimyo.
of the forces to help you against a test of your own.
Now Kai, he's not wearing armor. So the polite thing to do would be to remove your armor or demand that he go get some armor.
I demand he go get some armor.
All right. He's just now he's really mad.
This is a long time to stay mad.
Well, actually, before I say that, I say, this is your last chance to admit you drank too much sake.
And he just scowls at you and he looks at the boy who ran his sword out and says, "Fetch my armor to me." And so,
I could have Akagi fight in my place, right? That'd be fun. Proxy?
you'd lose a little bit of face, but you could.
That's fine. No, I'll fight.
Okay.
I
don't
totally
want
would. But by traveling with Akagi, you totally know I would.
I didn't want to do this, but anyway.
All right, so it'll be a little while then. You're all waiting in the hot sun as
It's like 1 o'clock too. Holy cow.
as Chiba's armor is run out to him, and the boy helps him put his armor on. So
I think
Chiba,
they're gonna get other witch hunters next time.
so Chiba will be brought as well a Bicento, which, as I said, is like a glaive. So it's not tremendously long before he's got his armor on. He's got his pole arm.
Has a very big blade.
It's got a big blade. Let's see if he knows how to use it. And he'll stand opposite to Kai, and he's just kind of gritting his teeth. And he doesn't seem like he has anything left to say to you. He's just ready to get it on. So you can make I believe it's a reflexes test to see who goes first, I believe.
I had no idea any of this would happen.
9, okay, let me just...
I'm not rolling hot tonight.
Well, I don't think it'll hurt your chances too bad. Let me just get my dice here. Since I have the dice roller, I'll just use it. If it'll load. All right, you're first.
Okay, I raise up my Tetsubo, and I just swing for his Head.
All right. So roll heavy weapons.
So which one is it again? It's I have 3K3 on Tetsubo. Is that for to
That's
attack?
the damage. Under your skills, you should have a heavy weapon skill. I believe all the weapon skills go off
4. Okay,
agility.
4.
I think you're right.
Yeah. So you should be rolling. I think you're 6 keep 2 for heavy weapons.
Okay, mine's is the number beside it how much I keep?
No, it's your agility is how many you keep.
Oh, okay, so then I keep 2.
Yeah.
And so
But you're rolling 6.
15. 15.
So, okay. Just pull up his sheet here.
And I have
15 is a hit.
okay.
Or
Ignore
no, wait.
ignore TN penalties for heavy armor. What does that do?
Actually, with his armor on, 15 is not a hit. I'm sorry. I was looking at his unarmored. Ignore target number penalties for the armor. What is that? Is that yours
What
or
is that? What is that
his?
under?
That's mine.
What are you reading that under?
It's
one
under
of-
techniques, way of the crab.
Yeah, it's the way of the crab.
Okay, so if you presumably your character has heavy armor,
Yep.
and whatever penalties you would normally get, I guess from athletics and stealth, it sounds like you don't suffer them.
Oh, I see.
I
Okay.
don't think it
I
matters
think
for
that's
this.
what it is. Yeah, I think that's what it is.
Okay, so 15 is a miss.
15 is a miss. Yeah,
Wow.
with his armor on. And don't forget that you have the exploding dice if you do roll a 10.
Yep.
Okay, so let me just grab his polearm here.
I'm sorry.
Oh, I hope I don't get too badly hurt. Oh, bad. Oh, that's not good. Ouch.
It's 23 to hit your target number, but I think that's still a miss with your
Okay.
armor. Yeah, because you got 25 with your armor on.
Okay.
So that's still a miss, so it's back to you. So, yeah, you swing your Tetsubo, so he'll probably come in and
Nope.
and parry it and try to follow up with a slash at your chest, which will bounce
Miss.
off your armor, and then you...
I missed. I got a 9.
Okay. So maybe
So
you
what does it look
come
like when you
back
do this?
and bring it straight down, and he'll get the parry up with both hands, and he'll try again.
Oh.
So it's only 16, so I believe that's another miss.
Like a
I got another one. So 19.
Now, just as
The
And-
5
and
was
why
my
not?
exploding one.
so, see, I think and David, you can correct me if I'm
Mhm.
wrong. But I think 'cause in the example they give for like the combat round, I believe. So you got a 10 and it exploded.
Yeah.
And you got a 5, so it's a 15. I think that 15. You can keep a 15. It's not a 10 and then a 5.
Well, I thought it was you kept everything.
So like you're keeping the 9, the 10, and the 5. You're saying the 5 was your exploded?
Yeah.
The 5 is my exploded.
I think you can keep the 10, the 9, and the 6, but the 10 and the 5 count as the same dice. So you rolled a 15, a 9, and a 6.
Okay, so
I believe that's the
it's-
case,
it's a
but I might be wrong
difference
about that.
it's I can only keep 2, but if you get an exploding die, do you keep the extra one or no?
Yeah, I believe so.
Okay, so then
That's
that
what I
would
did
be
earlier.
a 25.
Okay, that's
Or
a hit.
24. Yeah.
25
Okay.
is a hit. It's hard to hit somebody in armor.
It's true. Who'd have thought armor actually does its job? It's not. You can't cut through it like tinfoil.
Yeah. So roll your damage there.
Wow, this is not good. So
And because you have Way of the Crab, you get an extra unkept dice to damage, I think. So it's which I didn't take into account. So you're actually 7 keep 3, I believe, is your total.
7?
Yeah, because Way of the Crab gives you an extra
Oh,
unkept
okay.
dice to damage. For heavy
Okay, so
weapons.
then that's not so bad. So then I have 12, 16 damage.
Okay. His so it's 11 after his armor, so he's nicked. So he's taking -3 to all future rolls. So why don't you describe? So you came down, he caught it, he tried to catch you in the face with the butt of the Bacento. Your helmet deflected most of it, and then you
I smash him in the hand.
smash his hand. Oh! So it comes down on his hand. And he's like wincing. It's his right hand too, which is unfortunate. And so he'll step back, and he'll probably try to swing again. And that's a failure. So we're back to you.
Oh. Oh, that's terrible. Back to me?
Yep.
Oh, one more. So basically, 24. Do I keep the third one? That'd be a 31 or a 24 if I keep the extra one because I had an exploder.
Yeah, the 31. That's actually a hit by 5, which is a raise. Every 5 gives you an extra effect. So you can either get an extra dice of kept damage, or you can perform some kind of maneuver, like a knockdown or a disarm.
I want to knock him down.
You could back him up into the river and try to push him in the river.
Oh, there's a river nearby.
It's not super close, but with the maneuver, I'd say you could back him up to the edge of the river.
I want to knock him down.
Okay.
Basically, like, just smash him in the legs.
All right.
So I'm going to roll my damage.
Yeah.
And I keep 3?
I believe so. Yeah, it's 7, keep 3. Yeah.
25.
Okay. So you can just knock him right out with that.
Yeah, that's fine.
Or kill him as you decide. And again, it's more honorable to kill him than to knock him out.
I kill him.
Okay. Describe how you dispatch this guy. This family is being depopulated.
I smash him in the side of the pelvis extremely hard because I said I was going for the legs, and it basically severs an artery in and around the hip or pelvis area, a major artery, and he just bleeds out with a shattered pelvis.
All right. Is it internal bleeding though, or external?
A little bit of both. But it's a major severed artery from the crushing damage and the bone splintering through it.
All right, so he goes down with this scream, and he's like struggling to move, but he clearly can't move properly. That's actually, I think that would be a pretty slow way to die. So do you execute him while he's struggling and bleeding internally?
Yeah, I do actually.
Okay, so maybe you.
Or maybe I should ask a Kage to do it, but anyway. But yeah, I pull out my my wakizashi and I just stick it in his throat.
All right, so he'll like try to struggle and fight back as you're doing that. Oh. And just the blade in the throat, blood comes gurgling up out of his mouth, and he shakes, and then passes on.
Yep.
And you can see the court is the court's probably in shock. If it had been a Kage, they might have like cheered, but for you, they're just like, you were so rude that they're just in shock that like this ne'er do well just came into their court and was so rude. Somebody had to try to call him out, and then he just beat him to death. So it's they're very sad and shocked and disheartened. The entire court.
As am I, as I see this senseless violence happen. Of course, the way of the samurai is a violent one, but for something like this, I close my eyes, shake my head, and mutter,
Thanks a lot, Akage.
This is this. If he would have challenged Akage would have happily accepted. This is simply a matter of events that could not have been avoided.
I go over to. Are you and the daimyo still standing, like talking together? Or?
We're probably, yeah, possibly, maybe, trying to. I'm at least talking at the daimyo. Maybe he's not responding, but it's pleasant conversation. It's. I'm not calling him out anymore.
Okay. I think now more than ever, our path is clear. Let us not bring any additional strife upon these people. Let's go find this Oryo Yoshihiro. If we can, we'll bring back what is left of him. If we cannot, find out what is going on in the mountains. But I think we have outstayed our welcome for one afternoon.
We got it all out of our systems, guys. It can only go up from here.
A little bit of murder, Yeah.
I asked where are the peasants that we need to question?
They're back in the castle. I guess nobody told them a duel was going on, but they've been assembled in one of the lesser halls.
I go in with my weapons kind of dripping with blood.
All right. Well, maybe that's a good place. We'll take a 5-minute break, stretch your legs, grab a cup of tea, hit the washroom, and I'll see you guys back in 5. Okay?
All right.
Always with the duels.
I didn't want to.
Well, behave yourself then, man.
I was starting to behave myself. Akage poured gasoline on the fire.
Yeah, sorry.
I think it was all you, man. Like, you can imply things, but as soon as you actually insult someone, they can call you out.
Yep.
And if they don't, they lose face.
That's why I'm glad we don't live in an honor culture here.
There'd be very few of us, I believe. We all
Very
have to
few.
each other.
Be very few of you, Sean. So, some people can behave themselves.
I'm role playing. You gave me the characteristics of antisocial and insensitive.
Yeah, but there's Japanese insensitive, and then there's American insensitive, and you're being like
Yep.
American insensitive, which
All
is
right,
like hideous barbarism for them.
I know. In my description for the character, it's outthinking his foes at courts,
Mhm.
destroys enemies, assume their power and influence, and to be outmaneuvered or warded off is a grave failure. So I was wanting something to happen.
Yeah, no, you did a excellent job with the social interaction, I thought. But yeah, you're fucking this barbarian over here. Which again, the Crab Clan does have a reputation for being a lot like that. So it's not out of setting. It's he's just like he's one of the worst of the crabs, but it's pretty much what people expect is like the worst stereotype of the Crab Clan. That's what he's living up to.
That's nice.
But it's not out of setting though.
That's true. Crab typically have bigger concerns.
Yes. So as we rejoin our daring heroes, I believe they were in the lesser hall of Kazuyuki Castle, where the peasants have been assembled, especially some of the fishermen who were close with Oreo Yatsuhiro. So they're all kind of seated on the floor, awaiting the pleasure of the lords. Perhaps they've been given some tea, just to keep themselves hydrated. But as you come in, they all will bow, forehead to the ground, deepest respect. So how do you guys begin questioning them? And have you brought the daimyo in with you, or you're conducting this solo?
I don't want him there because I
Okay,
want
we
the
gotta-
peasants to not feel too intimidated.
No
I don't
problem.
know about the.
We don't
Well,
want
I don't
no.
want him there
intimidated as
either
blood
because I
drips
think
from a club.
we've done enough damage. I think it's better to let tempers die down and get on with it.
All right, no problem.
Silly peasants and all their what have yous.
So how do you comport yourself before these peasants? What are you asking them?
Fishermen, which of you knew Oreo Yatsuhiro? I can't remember pronounce. Yushiro.
Yatsuhiro.
Yatsuhiro.
You can see them all kind of looking around. A few of them kind of sit up and kind of like raise their hands, looking towards you.
How many of you knew Shiba Yatsuhiro?
Probably like, I don't know, maybe one of them would raise his hand. Probably none of them. Shiba spent his time at court rather than
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
No
talking
loss
to
on their
peasants.
part, really.
Do you want to talk to the guys who knew Oreo? I look at my colleagues. The
Yeah.
peasants.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, I believe that would be our greatest source of information.
Who has the best social skills of us?
I don't think we may not. These
Is there
are
like a charisma or?
Yeah.
Courtier is the skill, and then
I have a
what
pretty
is it?
high
Oh,
courtier.
Yeah. I mean, I probably
awareness is
wouldn't
the
think
attribute.
to. I mean, we're all so high above the peasantry. It's like
I don't think they're gonna
we
lie
are
to us.
their
Yeah.
betters. I probably wouldn't even consider like we don't need to talk to the peasants unless you're particularly kind to the peasants. And I'm not a mean person, but it is the
Wait,
station.
I'll
We are their betters.
talk to the peasants. I mean, I
Yeah, I
recognize
mean,
that.
I'm certainly going to talk to them as well.
I think Matsui is more sincere, but
Yeah.
What's his name? Akagi, you're more diplomatic, let us say.
Yeah,
Right.
yes.
And actually,
So-
our Earth Crab here, you're more sincere, I believe, than even
Oh my goodness.
than even Matsui. It's just all of the sincere things you have to say are negative.
Or blunt.
That's right. Blunt and negative.
I'll walk, towards them and ask the question. The question being, which way did Oreo go into the mountains?
So one of the peasants will certainly speak up. He looks like he's in his early 60s or late 50s. He's got like shock white hair, very tanned skin. He'll kind of like bow and say, "It was my son who guided Oreo into the mountains. It was my son, Takashima. Neither of them have returned yet, my lord."
How were they dressed when they left?
Lord Oreo had his armor on.
Mhm.
My son was wearing his tunic, but he brought his spear so that he could assist Oreo.
You tell me, living out there, are there any actual bandit camps nearby that you know of?
He looks very confused at that question, and he says, "There are no bandits, my lord. Not in our beautiful Oyama Valley.
Okay.
The daimyo protects us from bandits. There are none."
How do you
I'll
feel
smirk.
about Oreo?
Oreo was a good man. He visited many blessings upon my family.
It is said that Oreo was close to the men of the river, the fisher folk, such as yourself. No, it is good to hear there are no bandits in these lands. The rumors, the men and women of your community affected him enough to go out to meet whatever was out there, enough to take weapons and armor. What is it that he hoped, or not hoped, what is it that he expected to face out there?
It is no rumor, my lord. Many have disappeared from the rivers, from the higher valleys. I've seen corpses floating past my home. My daughter told Lord Oreo about this, and he became most affected. That is why he left, to find the cause of this evil.
Could it not have been some animal, some creature making its den with these people? They're seeing their corpses floating down the river. Were they clawed, bitten? Or were they wounded as if by a weapon?
I saw no wounds on them, my lord, but I did not look closely. When I was a boy, there was a giant salamander that was devouring the people. I remember it well. The daimyo's father slew it with his spear. But There were no corpses in the river then, only disappearances. Whatever has been doing this has not been devouring the bodies.
So we're witch hunters. Is there any we perhaps attempt a lore skill to determine, are there spirits, monsters, or various foul sorcerers that typically, does this seem like an MO of any of the horrors that we have faced before?
You can make a lore test, certainly.
Okay. I will...
Sorry, they said that there were no marks on the bodies, or there were?
No marks that he could see. They were kind of floating by in the river, so he didn't take the time to scoop the body out of the river to examine it. But there's no obvious wounds on them.
I would like to make a lore check as well because I have the skill.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I'll do it too.
And now how do I do it? Because I have a 1 and a 0, but my intelligence is like 3.
Yeah, so you have 1. It just costs you 0 points. That's all. But yeah, so if you got 3 intelligence, you add your lore to what you roll. So you're rolling 4. You're only keeping your intelligence. So you're keeping 3.
Okay.
Out of those 4.
11.
14, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21 for me.
All right. So all of you, the first thing that would spring to your mind is it could be a kappa or a water spirit. It's kind of like a turtle person kind of spirit. And they have been known to pull people into the water and drown them, to strangle them to death, to abduct people and then drag them back into the water at night. So that's the first thing that springs to your mind. However, there are certain blood sorcerers, users of Mayho, black magic, who feed on the blood of the living and their spiritual energy, and they might also not leave any marks on the body, or maybe just very small marks. It could be any of several things, but those are the two that spring to your mind as most likely.
I will ask the peasants, are any among you, do any among you know the area well enough to guide us where Oreo was guided?
Nagano will probably nod his head and say, I know exactly where my son wants to take Lord Oreo. I would be honored to join in the search for them.
I have a question. I ask about I've heard something. I asked them. I asked them about the prayer offerings that they've left. Has anything strange happened or unusual?
Yes, my lord. Our offerings are not being accepted by the spirits. I have even bought a finger of jade, and it has not been taken away from my shrine.
How have what have your fishing catches been like? Have they been bountiful or sparse?
They have been sparse, my lord. And the water coming down from one of the mountain valleys, it is murky. It is dirty water. We do not drink of it anymore.
I look to the two of you and speak in a volume that you can hear, but they cannot. More and more, it sounds to be the work of the kappa or some spirit of water, the river. Something is displeasing the spirits to affect the catch, affect the water so thoroughly. Something more than bandits.
I agree.
How long have these deaths been occurring?
It has been a month, my lord. Before that month began, the fishing was plentiful, the water was clean, the spirits accepted our offerings, and then all at once it changed. It was not long before people began disappearing.
And what of this place in the mountains where Oreo was led? What is this place that you will now guide us to? What makes you think this location is of such importance? What is it that is up there?
Lord Oreo asked the same questions of you, my lord. Of us. He asked the same questions of us. It is the Takuma Waterfall. It is the source of the bad water. It has become befouled and dirty. Lord Oreo asked my son to take him to the top of the falls. And that is the last I saw of either of them.
How far away are the falls?
They are not far, my lord. We'll reach there by nightfall.
I don't think I want to be there at night. I say this to my companions.
I agree. I don't either. I believe we should stay here than set off early in the morning.
What time is it now?
Late afternoon.
Late afternoon.
Yeah.
Okay, that probably makes sense. It's not like there's street lights at this time.
They're only going to lose a few more peasants. That's fine.
Yeah.
But maybe we can question, because something in the area has changed, I'm guessing, and maybe we should investigate as to what may have changed in the area.
What have you done?
So,
go ahead, sorry.
Sorry, go ahead.
What has been done with the bodies of those who have washed up?
Nagano looks a little bit confused, and he says, "Those that have come ashore have been given proper burial, my lord."
No, I nod approvingly. That is.
Has Oreo's corpse been retrieved?
No, my lord, and it is my most fervent hope that Lord Oreo still lives.
Or your son?
And my son, yes, my lord.
His body has not been found.
No, my lord.
Have they been finding the bodies along the river or centered around one spot?
I believe it is all along the river, and he's like looking around at some of the other peasants, and you can see many of them nodding that in their areas there have also been corpses found.
I will turn to my companions and say, I believe our best course of action is to stay here, obviously, for the night.
I agree.
And then on the way to the waterfall tomorrow, we should stop by their land and just see if anything is tainted.
Indeed.
Has anything in the region changed? New construction, anything?
Peasants are all shaking their heads. They can't think of anything different other than the sudden fouling of that one tributary coming off of the Yakuma waterfall.
How old is this guy's father again? Is he too old to travel, or?
Nagano is he's in his late 50s. He does seem very spry. So you think he's probably okay to travel. He seems to think that he'll be okay to travel.
I tell him to bring one of his. Tell him to meet us here at first light, and bring one of your fishing spears and a net, just in case. We don't want you to fight, however, we don't want you completely defenseless, just in case.
He'll bow to you.
Are we dismissing them right now, or?
I don't think there's anything else to. Seem to.
Okay.
All right, I say to both of you, if we have not completely worn out our welcome with the court here. Perhaps there will be one amongst the courtiers who may know of some of the history of the waterfall. There may be a spirit that lives there that has not bothered the people for many generations, but for whatever reason is now angered or roused. Best to ask. And
I agree.
out of curiosity, is this maybe beyond my studies, but something for an obvious educated person, like a Bushi samurai. Is there anything overtly significant, like astrologically, with the changing of this month to whatever the last month was to this month?
No, nothing that you're aware of.
Okay.
As the peasants are leaving, I will approach the father. What was his name?
Nagano.
Nagano. I will say, do not worry. We will find both Lord Oreo and your son.
Thank you, my lord.
Safe travels.
First light.
I will be here. So the peasants then take their leave to spread back throughout the valley. So what do you guys do between now and first light, if anything?
Have we been invited to stay here with rooms and?
So he did give you his countenance, and he said his home was your home. So yes.
I wanna wash up.
Of course, that was pre-murder.
Well, it was an honorable duel.
Yeah.
It was an honorable duel, and no one will question me now.
Hopefully.
Yeah. I will ask if if it is known, like, is there a spirit that calls that waterfall home, or not?
It's a good question, but the peasants unfortunately are ignorant of that.
Well, I'm not asking the peasants that. I'll be asking someone at the that's where we're staying. We're staying in the daimyo's sort of abode.
The courtiers will be even more ignorant of that than the peasants.
Oh, okay.
The peasants, like, they kind of deal with the spirits in their own way, but most of the courtiers don't have to deal with the spirits at all, really.
They said there was a monastery nearby, right?
Yeah, there is a monastery on the other side of the valley.
Oh, so how long of a walk is that? Like about?
It'd probably be 2 days to get to the monastery. One of which would be spent climbing.
Never. Okay, I got you.
It's way up in the mountains.
Is this a castle we're at, or what is this? A fortress, or?
Yeah, it's a castle. It's a rather large, ostentatious castle. They even have a curtain wall.
Can we see the waterfall? Like, is it up at the waterfall's up in a mountain, or like a hilltop? I'm just wondering if it's visible from the castle in the distance.
I'd say you probably can't. It's you've got like the main valley and the river, and then like tributaries, smaller valleys off to the side, and it's just down one of those. So you can't see it. You don't have line of sight, unfortunately.
In that case, I will spend a lot of my time. We've been on the road for several days, if not longer, cleaning my weapons, checking making sure my bow is up to snuff, greasing the armor as whatever is up there is certainly apparently strong enough to take down a somewhat competent warrior. It would seem.
I pick shards of bone out of my my war club and wipe the blood off of it and clean myself.
And I'll make it
I will
known.
simply meditate.
Yeah, I'll
And,
make it known to the court that this is where we're going, and so if something happens, they'll know.
call some more of us.
Well, and they'll know whatever is going on is something's happening at that waterfall. Hopefully it won't matter, but they'll know where both we and Oreo went to.
Yeah.
So
But even if they
that
know
seems to be-
exactly where they are, these guys are not going to give a shit.
They might if enough peasants die to affect the rice production, or if it sludges up the water.
There have to be a lot of peasants dying.
Yeah.
But that's
I think a few
the
counts are
extent
going to make the volume for that.
of my actions.
Now, who hit that 30 on the lore test?
Not me. I got a 15.
I didn't hit the 30. I hit like 21 or 22 or something.
Oh, okay. I thought someone had hit a 30 on
I
it.
had 2 7s and a 6. So
Okay.
whatever that is.
All right, never mind. So you spend the night in the castle, is that correct?
I believe. My
Dinner,
Wakizashi
everything.
right beside me when I sleep, by the way.
Yeah.
There.
Always a good policy. Nothing does accost you in the night. Of course, you're provided with dinner, with breakfast. Lord Hada has not specifically invited you to dinner or breakfast with him, and unless you demand.
I
to,
demand
eat with him.
breakfast
Well, he'll provide it to
breakfast.
you. He just doesn't
I
want to
d-
eat with you.
with him.
Ah. All right.
Dinner and breakfast, and I'll just make it awkward silence and stare at him and just eat.
It's very awkward.
I would participate in the breakfast, because at least send us off nice,
I don't say anything. I demand it, as is my right.
Yeah.
Breakfast, and I just
Daimyo probably isn't up at first light.
It's not technically your right, but it would be rude for him to refuse you.
Yep.
And so he doesn't refuse you. And yes, he is. He has to get up very early for this breakfast because you guys are
Oh,
leaving very
geez.
early. So he's like half awake for breakfast, but he is there.
Are we bad people? I think we're bad people.
I'm not a bad person.
Depends on who you ask.
my
That is
family.
That is
My
true.
family's higher than his.
That is also true.
Yeah. I'm
Thus
demanding a
better.
little bit of respect.
It's a complicated network of bureaucracy.
Yeah. But Nagano Horiuchi does appear on schedule. The old man. He's got his spear with him. He's brought a net as you requested. Although it's it's a fishing net, so it'll be very. Its use in combat would be extremely limited in most circumstances, but he
Right.
did bring it. He's also got a bundle of rope with him, no doubt to help you climb the waterfall or the cliffs around the waterfall. But he seems most perturbed, and he's kind of like shaken up as he's arrived. He greets you, my lords. There has been a disappearance in the night.
Who has been taken?
Our neighbor's farmstead, their daughter was dragged from the house in the middle of the night, screaming. And something pulled her down to the river, and she disappeared beneath the water. He tried to chase it, to follow her. He said, whatever it was, he said it was wearing Lord Orio's armor. It had his katana.
I will look at my companions and say, should we go there first to investigate?
How far is the site of the disappearing peasant?
It is
compared to the waterfall.
It is on the way, my lord. It is near the foot of Yakumo Falls.
So we'll stop there
Yes.
maybe on the way to the waterfall.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I am somewhat skilled at hunting. When we get there, I'm going to see if there are any tracks or signs. Hopefully, at least on the riverbed, there will be some tracks.
In the
Certainly,
meantime, I'll do my best to
the
calm
guy
it
was
down.
the guy was chasing them to the river.
I-
So
I want to make a lore check to what would constitute basically the Walking Dead coming back to find out what I would know about them.
Sure, make a lore test.
I'll do one too, I guess. I get it. It is very
12.
intriguing. 10, 8, and 7, and I got a 10, so that explodes. It's a 6. So 18, 17. Hold on. Math is not my strong suit. 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31.
Wow.
All right. So you actually know a lot about the undead, about Yori as they're known. So basically, unburied bodies, or even uncremated bodies at times, can rise as the living dead, as ghosts, either corporeal or incorporeal. And some of them do commit havoc upon the living. So it's very conceivable that if someone or Lord Oreo fell down that waterfall, they died there, they may be haunting that locale. So it's very possible, and they might be, dragging others down with them if they're angry at the manner of their death. If Oreo, for example, was mad that he didn't die in battle and instead he fell down a waterfall and his spirit was mad because of that, he could be haunting that location. So that's possible.
Are they corporeal?
Not always, but based on the description that Nagano is able to give you, it sounds like this one certainly would be, if it is in fact a ghost, a Yori.
Mhm.
I would explain all of this to them and say this evidence greatly supports the fact that Lord Oreo is no more.
But this doesn't necessarily support the Kappa.
No, this does not seem like a cop.
What do we know about Kappa? Can they create Yori? Do we need to make a lore check?
well, do we know
they-
what they look like? Could a kappa wear the armor of a person it killed?
Could it wear the skin of a person it killed, more like?
Well, I mean,
Yeah.
they're human. They're humanoids. So I mean, it was in the nighttime. It just
I think
someone was wearing the armor.
They're more like
and-
weird combinations of like frog humans with like crown things on their head to hold water. I don't think they're like
Right.
exactly humanoid.
They, well,
if
they're pretty humanoid. They could wear armor. It could be that a kappa murdered Lord Oreo and is now wearing his armor. That's
I mean,
certainly possible. as
I
well.
would if I mean, it's extra. It's why would
All right, well, let's go fight the Ninja Turtles.
Yeah,
Let's do it.
Yeah.
and kappa are supposed to have indeed turtle-like shells, so they probably don't need the armor necessarily, but
So
it could.
I'd like to make a lore check to try and think of what I know about Kappa.
Okay. Could everybody make that test if you're thinking about that it might be a kappa?
Sure, I'll make that.
I don't think I would strictly because I don't think it is.
I mean, I'm still thinking that because it doesn't explain
Who's
the
to
weird
say there aren't
organs
both, right?
blood. Yeah,
Yeah.
or
Like,
Yeah.
who's to say that this guy went hunting for a Kappa,
we know so
And then
little, it could be anything.
something happened and he died horribly and he came back as a Yore?
Yeah.
So that's only
Anyway,
going to be a 9 for me.
I got a 14.
All right. So not much beyond the basics that they're water spirits. They are supposed to have, as you said, a bowl kind of attached to their skull, almost like the top of their head is chopped off, and their head is full of water. And it's supposed to be a sacred water called the water of life. Some spellcasters much prize this water, but the Kappa are certainly unwilling to part with it. And if that water is ever emptied, the Kappa, they don't die, but they become almost helplessly weak. Other than that, they're basic water spirits, and when the river is happy, they're happy. When the river is suffering for any reason, they get very angry, and they try to take that out on whatever they think is the cause of that suffering. Although they don't always understand human culture well at all.
Right.
So who they think is responsible and who's actually responsible is usually not the same at all.
Is there a general goods store in the village?
Sure, absolutely.
I want to get some flasks of oil.
Okay. No problem at all.
And some rags. And I would assume I have a tinderbox, right?
You can make Molotov cocktails.
Sure.
No, we're going to make fire arrows.
Oh.
Sure.
Because if it's a water spirit, they might be susceptible to flame. Just a guess.
It could be. Now, all spirits are susceptible to jade. And I'd assume that as witch hunters, you all have at least an amulet made of jade, which would protect you from some evil, from some black magic. But yeah, fire may damage them. Jade certainly would damage them if you have jade that's been made into some kind of weapon, which is very rare to see, actually.
So, just a general question based on how we would perceive things. So, if in fact there is a Kappa, it sounds like these aren't demons necessarily. They're spirits that could be angry or displeased. Is it generally a good idea, or generally would someone in our position generally want to just kill the Kappa, or would generally the standard thing to do is, well, stop whatever's going on with the river and the Kappa will be happy?
We're witch hunters. We fight evil. We put it down.
Well, this thing may not be evil. It might be for us, but it sounds like it's
killing people.
But that is
just
true.
let me-
The question, yeah, I understand
Yeah.
what you're saying and stuff. I agree.
Yeah, I mean, if we would know as occult sort of warriors that will destroy the river, if you know what I mean. So,
Kappa are they're usually neutral spirits. So
Okay.
you're right. The best thing would be to try to appease them somehow. And the villagers have been trying to do that. They even offered them some jade, which is sacred.
Perhaps they're
But,
offering the wrong thing. Perhaps it's not the
right, or it might not be a Kappa. We don't know yet. So I'm just trying to understand what the
and it may be both.
context
Maybe
is.
both Yori and Kappa.
I hand my colleagues a flask of oil each and some rags in case they wish to make fire arrows or whatever they want to do with it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, sure.
All right.
So I only got a 11 on a hunting roll. So unless there were any footprints and they were fairly obvious, or if that peasant was very clear on exactly where he chased them off to, I may or may not have seen anything in the wet sand.
Well, have we actually arrived there?
Oh, I thought we did.
I
Sorry.
didn't think we left the town yet.
No.
Well, this was in the town, right?
Yeah, we were in the town. Oh, no, it was on the way to the waterfall that it happened.
Yeah.
So it's probably a big village with it, like a hamlet outskirt, farm.
Okay.
Whatever.
All right. So when that happens, so you know.
All right.
Yes, and if you do depart the castle, you will certainly travel through the Oyama Valley. Again, it looks very beautiful, idyllic, peaceful. There's mist coming down from some of the waterfalls. A wonderful breeze, which keeps it from being too humid. And coming off into that side valley in which the Yakumo Falls are located, you do see the falls at the end of the valley. And this stream, the Yakumo stream, is indeed most befouled. There's a lot of sediment in it. It's very murky and muddy. So it's certainly not as beautiful as like the crystal clear water in the rest of the valley. And as you journey closer, you see even the waterfall almost has like a gray brown sheen to it. Like it's not looking very pretty there. It's brown sludgy water. Coming up on that homestead, if you do indeed go and look for those tracks before even like going inside or talking to anyone, it is quite obvious, in the mud. You can see where the farmer tried to chase it. Clearly, someone was dragged down into the water. You can see like claw prints where she's fighting and kicking and trying not to be drowned. But you do also see several footprints, and they're bare feet, and they're clearly inhuman. They're very wide and long, and they appear to have webbed toes. So you're becoming quite certain that it was a Kappa who abducted this girl in the middle of the night.
Was it wearing armor?
It was described as wearing armor, though. Yes.
It could have been them just. If it has a turtle shell, they may have just thought it was armor, or this Kappa might be especially devious and trying to, for whatever reason. I don't know how smart these things typically are, but
or it may just be a confused farmer who lost his daughter.
And do you go in and speak to?
I knock on the door. Yep. I think David's breaking up.
Yeah, farmer.
Yeah, he broke up for me as well.
There we go.
Yep. Yeah, I knock on the door.
All right, and of course, your guide, Nagano, is that his name?
Yep.
I'm losing my notes here.
Nagano.
Too many NPCs. Yes, Nagano Horiuchi does introduce you to this farmer, whose name is Hagiwara Takejiro. He's kind of he's only in his late 30s, so he's quite a bit younger and more hale than Nagano. But he'll describe exactly what he saw. Like, he heard screaming from his daughter's room. Rushing in, he saw her being pulled out the window. Looking out the window, he saw someone in samurai armor dragging her by the hair down towards the river. He ran out after him, and he tried to stop the samurai. He had a spear, and he tried to stab the samurai in the back, but his spear just glanced off the armor. And he is describing that he was wearing armor, pauldrons, shoulder pads, a large kabuto.
Okay.
And he says the samurai then turned and cut his spear in half with his katana. It was then that he recognized the blade of Oryo Yatsuhiro. Oryo, being a friend to the local fisher people and farmers, was well known to them, and he recognized Oryo's sword. But he was in shock because he knew Oryo had been missing, and Oryo's a good man. He's not evil. And then the samurai just continued dragging his daughter, and he tried to beg the samurai to stop, and it just dragged her out into the water without turning back and looking at him at all. And she just went under the water out into the river, and there were some air bubbles from her, and then it was just still water again. And so he's most distraught that his daughter is gone.
Is the water murky where she was dragged?
Yes. Yes.
I ask him, do you do regular offerings in your shrine?
He says yes. Of course he does. He has a shrine. He's been leaving rice and vegetables and even a few coins out lately because the people have been going missing.
Mm-hmm.
So he's been leaving extra offerings to try to appease the spirits, but they haven't been taking his offerings, not even when he started leaving them coins.
Were the offerings not being accepted before people were going missing, or at the same time?
No, he says, as with most of the other peasants, that the offerings have been accepted as regularly as ever. Spirits don't always take offerings, but
Right.
often they do. But yeah, at pretty much the same time people started going missing, no offerings at all were being taken or accepted.
I ask if anything unusual other than this disappearance has happened in the area recently. When did the water change color?
Yeah, he'll definitely point out that the waterfall is brown and disgusting. It's carrying a very like earthy smell. It doesn't smell like fresh, clean water. And he'll say again that started happening just about a month ago, and very shortly after the disappearances began. And he's not a fisherman, but he's heard from some of his friends, and Nagano is a fisherman, and he'll back it up, that the fishing in this river has dropped off dramatically since the water turned brown and filthy.
So he said the disappearances happened before or after the water turned?
After.
If it indeed is a kappa, then perhaps it is simply seeing these fishermen as why the water turned brackish.
Yes, there's something amiss here, something deeper, I believe, that is the cause of all this that we are not seeing yet.
So the waterfall itself is brown, right?
Yeah.
So we should just follow it upstream, I guess.
I think so.
That's what Lord Oreo did, yes.
Have there been any travelers, any people come to this part of the village, the kingdom, in recent weeks? Beyond the
Hagiwara
normal.
Hagiwara and Nagano both agree that they haven't seen any strangers other than you guys.
And it seems our answers and the fate of those who have been taken is at the foot of that waterfall. And we must be sure in our
You are
cause
still
more than we have
standing
ever
here.
been.
I'm assuming we don't need a guide anymore. We can send this fisherman home and just follow the water upstream until it turns bad.
I agree. I don't want him to get killed.
Nagano certainly offers to come with you. He says, because basically it's like almost like a cliff. The waterfall's coming down. And he says he knows a route up the cliff face, which is why his son went with Oreo in the first place.
Okay, well, I guess we'll let him take us up to the cliff face.
Take us to the
then-
route, and then we don't want him dying.
And I'll ask to borrow his net.
All right, he's happy to lend the net. And then yes, Nagano will take you up the cliff face. In parts there are ledges. In other parts you have to do a little bit of climbing up. But he certainly does have a route that's navigable. It's a lot easier than some of the other areas looking out the sheer cliff face. But you make it up to the top of Yakuma Falls without incident. And you can see here that there's almost like a second valley up here, and it looks like there's another smaller waterfall at the end that is feeding this one. And Nagano will tell you that Yeah, he's never tried to climb the other falls, but sometimes they would come up here because there's an ancient shrine at the end of this valley that they leave offerings here instead of at their home shrines. But no one he's ever heard of has gone up that second waterfall. And with your permission, he'll probably depart from you at that point.
I ask him where the shrine is first.
He points it out down the end of the valley. You can kind of make it out. It looks like it's a stone shrine, much overgrown with moss and vines, certainly disused. Nagano says, he used it when he was a young man. His father used it, but his own son, they've only visited this shrine together maybe once or twice, and most people have probably even forgotten that it's there.
I asked to borrow his rope as well. We might need it to climb the other waterfall.
Yes, and he's happy to hand that over.
It looks like we lost the other Nicholas.
Yeah. We'll give him a minute to sign back in.
Should we take a...
There he is.
Oh.
It seems this will be our first place to visit, this shrine. No doubt Oreo would have gone there first as well.
Akage, have you woken from your daydream yet?
Yes, sorry.
You missed much.
Yes.
The fisherman has left.
You must be
Good.
careful. These ledges are slippery, and do not wish to lose you
Sorry,
before.
The valley is so beautiful. I got lost in it.
I told you it was.
Do you want to check out the shrine first?
Yeah, sure. That seems fine to me.
If you do visit the shrine, you see, as I said, it is much overgrown. There's vines and moss choking it. It's made of stone, which is a little bit unusual, but given the area that it's a rocky valley, it's not that unusual. And you do see that some of the vines and moss have been cleared away, and there are a few coins that have been left here, and there's some stubs of incense. So you do suspect that Oreo may have indeed visited this shrine before moving onward. But there's, I don't know if there's very much else at the shrine of interest, though.
Okay.
Right.
And this is just a shrine to the spirit or spirits of the river. I'm assuming, or is this a?
Yeah, it'll be to the river.
Would I have anything to offer to make an offering?
Sure. Yeah, you can leave anything you want, from coins to tools, weapons, art, anything you think the spirits might enjoy. Usually the greater personal significance it is to you, the greater an offering it is.
I don't know what all I have. My equipment and stuff like that.
Or you can have anything you think your character would have on him. So maybe he carries incense or a mirror or anything you think he might have, perfume or.
Perhaps he has a drawing of what his homeland once was, and he would often look at it.
And I'll certainly leave a few coins. I'm not feeling like this, particularly generous for the spirits here. I'm not eager to kill them if they're not, evil spirits.
Did I cut out? Did anybody hear what I was saying?
Yeah, I heard you.
Yeah, I heard you say you had a drawing of how your homeland used to look like. I'm not sure if you said anything after that. I guess not.
I take some rice out of my my rations and I leave a bit of that
delicious rice balls.
Mm. Yeah, I'll leave a few coins, but I don't feel compelled to leave anything of especially personal significance to the spirits of this river.
All right, so you've left your offerings. You're kind of making just a brief prayer, perhaps.
Hmm.
Are you still with us, Nick Law, or did you drop again?
I think he might be having some difficulties.
We'll give
I
Nick
guess. Yeah.
we'll give Nick a couple more minutes to jump back in here.
Maybe we'll take like a 5-minute break. Just put
Okay.
a message in the chat, or
If he has to reload, he probably won't be able to read the chat, but
okay,
Yeah.
you
I
can try.
Facebook message him, or
Okay, there it is.
Okay. Yeah.
he's commented on it on the Facebook. Cat unplugged his router.
We found the real culprit of
Yeah.
I'm just leaving him a message. So
the real household gods.
Yeah.
be right back.
Okay.
Okay, we can take a $5 if you want.
Okay.
Okay,
Yep.
sounds seems like.
Seems like how it's gonna be.
Hey, Nicholas, you back?
Yeah, I'm back.
Okay. I think everyone's still on
Sorry
break.
about that.
Happens.
Do we get you back, Nick? Nick Law?
Yep. Yeah, I'm good.
Cool. All right, Nick, why don't you describe what does that painting, that drawing of your homeland look like?
Oh, it was a drawing before it was destroyed and lost, basically.
Okay.
Hmm.
So as you've
Like kind of like just like of like the general area. Maybe there was like a wooded area and like the city or village or whatever it was kind of behind it or something like that. It was a nice painting, but I offered it.
So, like, how big is it? Was this something you drew personally? Is it like on like a piece of vellum or like rice paper or just out of curiosity? Is this like a
It was probably like maybe some of the like rice paper, and I would have drawn it personally, perhaps while I was just out, maybe bored in the like during a battle, waiting for my orders to come or something like that.
Mhm. So as you've left your offerings at the shrine, you've knelt to do at least a brief prayer to the spirits. As you turn back, you see the valley spread out before you, the waterfall off to your right, and the cliff face ahead of you. You can see a figure standing by the riverside. It's one that you hadn't been there before. And this figure starts walking towards you, kind of this slow shuffle. And as it grows closer, you can see that it's wearing a samurai helm and pauldrons, that it has a sash at its waist with a katana stuck into it there. And at first you probably think that this is a samurai. What he's doing here, I have no idea. But as he's getting closer, you can see that his arms and legs are not quite right. His armor is not right. It's like thick and scaly and leathery. And as he's getting closer, you can see that it's not a man at all. It's almost like a turtle-like creature. What you took for very heavy body armor actually appears to be its shell. Although, again, it is wearing that sash with a katana and a kabuto helmet. And as it's shuffling closer to you, you can see that it's much more massive than perhaps any man you've seen. It's about 7 feet tall, and its eyes seem fixed on the shrine behind you, as if it doesn't even see you. It's just shuffling forward towards that shrine. You can see, past the helm, that there's this kind of look of wonder and sympathy, pity on its face. How do you guys react to this, if at all?
Well, go ahead.
I was gonna say if you guys move to like attack it or intercept it, I'd probably jerk my arm out to stop you. That's all I would do. Other than that, I'd simply watch.
I'm just going to
Okay.
stand to one side. I'm going to pull my weapon out just so it's ready, but not in a threatening manner.
Yeah.
Just so it's unsheathed, and just observe.
So I do move as if I'm going to step sort of in front of you guys in a sort of protective manner and address this thing. But then, Akagi you grab me, and then I say, "Oh wait, I see." Trance look upon its eyes, and I warily, still ready to move, see what this thing does, but I stand aside and watch what this spirit does.
And it will shuffle past you as if it doesn't even see you guys there. It reaches out its clawed hands and it picks up that drawing that you had left for it, Akagi. And it looks at it. You can see its eyes just getting watery, just looking at this drawing. And then its head turns, and it looks directly at you, Akagi, as if you can sense the link between yourself and this drawing. And it says, "This is your home."
It is, yes. It is what my home was. What I imagine it to be.
What happened to your home?
It was claimed by Shadow.
It looks now towards the sludgy, filthy river. It says, "My home has been claimed as well." And it looks with anger in its eyes towards Kai. Because why not? No.
I say, claimed by what?
By humans. You have come and destroyed my land.
How?
He gestures, "Look at the water. It was once so beautiful and clear. Now I can hardly breathe. It chokes me."
Yes, it looks like a toilet.
The people of the village below suffer.
What has
just
become
as-
of upstream?
Okay.
Sorry, go ahead. I didn't
No, it's all right. That's all right. Suffer as you do. It is not they who have caused this. You see, they still come to this shrine so far from their village, so high, and leave offerings for you. It is not to them you should direct your anger. What has happened here?
He looks he's very angry, obviously, but he's now looking a little bit confused and befuddled. Humans have done this. Humans must suffer for it. But he looks then again at Akagi, and he just looks very confused, like he's not sure that what he said is true.
What proof do you have that humans did this?
The humans came to the mountain vale, and he gestures up the second waterfall with their tools, with their chemicals. They cleave into the heart of the mountain.
Towards it.
Are you sure that they are the same humans from the village?
He looks at you again, kind of confused. They are humans.
No, there's a difference. The humans in the village have not done any work up in the mountain, in the upper waterfall. We've questioned them. We came from there. We've talked to them. We came here because people are missing in the village below, being dragged into the water and drowned. People you were speaking about are probably not from the village, from somewhere else entirely.
Make a sincerity test, which for you I think is 5, keep 2.
I have a pretty good sincerity. What's the stat for it?
It's awareness.
Awareness.
Yeah, that's why you only get to keep 2. But yeah, you're rolling a 5.
Okay. So 16.
He still looks confused, but he certainly his anger seems to soften. And
surely we were not the only ones to have told you this. No doubt the man who wore that armor you have upon you said similar words.
we have spoken not to humans. We have rejected your offering until, and he looks at the drawing, until now. You cannot buy us off with your coins and jade. Not when you destroy our river. Our river is our home. It is worth more than everything to us.
The river is the home of both you and the village below. Neither.
Without the
wish
river, we all die.
Yes, neither of us wish the waters to turn brown and thick. If
The
we
fishermen
remove
below
them-
are, sorry. The fishermen below are suffering. Their catches are low.
we
Without
would
fish,
remove.
they will die.
We would remove what is polluting the water. So, if this is done, will there be?
If you would,
Go ahead.
if you would show us where this water starts to turn, we will do everything in our power to give you your home back. For even though it will be much longer before I get mine, I would see you have a home again.
You humans are strange to regret what you have done. You make a promise that others would never offer. But I will give you peace and passage. Go, look upon their encampment and see what they do. If you can join with them and help them despoil my river, then you are truly heartless.
I'm going to say to the Kappa, I basically want to ask him to stop attacking the village below until we return.
No, that's pretty much what he just said he'd do.
And I want Oreo's body returned. And what's his name's son?
Nagano. I don't know why I remember his name.
He looks at you and looks down at the sword on his belt, and he says, "It was no Kappa who did this. We found him in the river. But if he is the price for peace, we will return all that was found with him."
I will bow at the hip, bowing low, and say, "Thank you, kind spirit."
All right, and he'll return your bow as well. But as he bends over and bows to you, you can see a trickle of water like runs down his face, and he kind of gets a little like lightheaded.
Oops.
Stands back up. He just looks a little bit woozy and lightheaded, but he doesn't seem like he's quite in danger of falling over, but he's close. That's actually one of the ways to defeat the Kappa.
Yeah.
They're scrupulously polite, and they have to bow if you bow to them, which is from Japanese mythology, by the way.
I believe it.
I didn't mean to do that.
I will not move to push him over the edge. I will not.
I start walking towards the waterfall, the other waterfall.
I will let the Kappa know to leave the armor and the things that were with Oreo at the shrine, and we will return for them.
All right. He kind of nods his head to you, and then kind of watches as you guys presumably head forward towards that second waterfall.
Yep.
All right. And without any harassment, unfortunately the Kappa won't harass you. It's not a very difficult climb. It's a much shorter fall. It's maybe 20 feet high, but it's a much easier climb as well. And as you guys come up and crest that this small cliff, you can indeed see the mountain face spread out before you, and there's a large opening in it, propped up with wooden timbers. You see there are tents and covered lean-tos. You can hear, now that you're coming up over the roar of the falls, you can hear picks against stone. You can see men moving around, and it looks like there's a mine that's set up in this valley. And if you're coming closer, you can see there are poles stuck into the ground around the perimeter that each have kind of a prayer written on them, and then a jade pin pinning them to those poles. So they've created some kind of ward that the spirits will not be able to pass through, presumably because some spirits have been really pissed off at them. And indeed, you see they're sorting the stone out, breaking it apart, and dumping the refuse there into the river. And it looks like they're actually mining jade.
How many are there, approximately?
You'd guess that there are about 30 people total working the mine. And as you guys are coming up, you can see there's kind of someone starts looks back. Unless you guys may want to make a stealth test, actually. Do you guys approach stealthily, or how do you approach?
I absolutely do not go stealthily unless I'm severely convinced. To do so would be unscrupulous.
I asked to see the foreman.
Yeah, now, as you guys just are coming up on the cliff, they'll notice you, and you can see them start yelling, and this mob kind of starts to get together. And you can
they don't know we have authority.
Well, so I say to both of you, be careful, be cautious. If these men are indeed the ones who have caused so much death, they are the ones who have killed Oreo.
I will.
And we will not have been the first samurai.
When have we ever caused trouble, cousin?
I want to ask them for their mining rights. That's what I want to ask them.
Kind of the whole group approaches you as a body. You see many of them have picks, shovels. They've all brought something in their hands towards you. A few of them even have really shitty swords tucked into their belts.
Okay.
But their foreman, who you'd assume is the foreman, steps forward. He's got white hair. He's in his late 30s, you'd guess. He's very large and muscular, although very sun-baked as well. Deep lines on his face. Who are you that comes here upon our mine?
I look at him and say, who are you to question a samurai? Show proper respect.
We are here on behalf.
What does he do? Does he react?
Okay.
He kind of has a knowing look on his face, but he does give you a very slight bow. It's so slight, it's very disrespectful, in fact. But you can see his men are kind of fanning out as you're talking, almost like they're getting ready to encircle you.
I will, as I notice they're fanning out, I will definitely, kind of back up to where, we're in a triangle formation, so they can't, group us up so tightly.
We are here as the arm, and it's an extension of Daimyo Kazuyuki. You would do well to think, and I'm watching this happen again, to consider your next actions before you find them to be regretful. As I sort of go to make a
Should anything happen to us, the Daimyo will send his army.
We're no vassals of that fat fool. We're from the Narakira clan. This valley does not belong to the Kazuyukis.
I will
Is
say
that true?
neither do we.
Wait a minute. A lore check on that family.
Yeah, is
That's
that
what I
true?
wanna- Yeah.
And you can make lore or courtier to read him as well.
Or would that be sincerity, or how would that work?
No, it'd be courtier to see if he's telling the truth or not.
Lore about the family.
And
that's what I
lore,
wanna know.
yeah, lore to know who actually should own this valley.
That's my lore check, so that's a 9.
So 15 lore check for me.
And then courtier would be just straight stat, which is probably 2.
Yeah, awareness, yeah, which is 2 for you.
8.
15, 16,
Uh,
I think 24 or 25 for me, one of the two.
Nice.
that's going to be a. Well, technically, I keep all these. 22. It's gonna be a 25 courtier check and a 15 lore check for me.
Okay. So yeah, anything above a 10 on a courtier test will tell you he's pretty much lying. And on that lore test, you'd all know that who owns what valley is always a little questionable. Wars have been fought over that kind of thing, but with a roll of 10 or higher, you'd almost be like 90% positive that it really should belong to Hara Kazuyuki, the daimyo that you guys are investigating.
Oh, say that last part again. I'm sorry, I missed it.
You think the valley is in fact owned by Hara, the daimyo who you were staying with.
I will. Has the men completely encircled us now?
I mean, I wouldn't have let that happen if it.
Yeah,
if it all
they'll
pops-
probably, seeing that you're being wary, they'll probably start to hold off a little bit. But you guys are probably like, the front and sides are probably encircled, but they haven't closed the circle.
I will shout and with that kind of knowledge. I won't harp on that just yet, but I'll say, we are witch hunters. We serve no particular daimyo, but the land we all walk upon.
All right, Okubu, the foreman, kind of nods at this. Says, well, perhaps it is good that you have come then, for these kappa of the river have been giving us monstrous trouble. Indeed, you can see that we operate a jade mine on behalf of our clan. We would offer you a fine jade tetsubo with which to smite these evil spirits.
I would see.
Let me look at that Tetsubo.
All right. He snaps his fingers and gestures for one of the men who runs back to a tent to get it.
Someone kill him with it.
I would see the papers.
That's what I want to see.
Dangerous weapons.
This mine on behalf of your clan. For I know full well the rights, as do we all, of this valley. And you should consider speaking truthfully to a samurai lest you dishonor yourself further. And I say, sort of glaring at him, like knowing full well with that 25, like you just gave me a pale-faced lie, and like that is a huge affront to my honor.
He just kind of smirks at you smugly, and he says, I'm a simple man, my lord. I know little of courtesy and etiquette and treaties. When
That much is clear.
When my lord tells me to set up a mine, that is what I do. I do not question.
Where
And
are
show
your
to-
papers?
He gestures, and one of the men comes forward with a scroll, and he kind of presents it to you. Trying to think what kind of test that would be. I would say courtier or etiquette, or
Sounds about
flat intelligence, or lore. Pretty much
Lore.
anything like
smart
that.
size.
I'd probably accept any kind of role like that.
Ooh. 15.
It looks like a forgery to you.
You'll hear like the click as I just use my thumb to push out the.
Have they brought out the
hilt of
Jade
my,
Tetsubo yet?
Yeah, the man is running back with his large Tetsubo, and the studs in it are each a sphere of jade.
I pick it up to inspect it.
You see, we do fine work here. We are good servants of the Empire.
You said there's 30 people?
Yeah, somewhere pretty close to that. Now, I'll point out again that they've got that perimeter so the spirits can't get in. But if anyone were to smash some of those poles, you might get some spiritual reinforcement from the
Absolutely.
That's a good idea.
Who wants to prepare a firebomb?
No, I got an idea.
We're samurai. We're not.
What we can do is they have given us this Tetsubo under the pretense that we are going to leave and kill the Kappa.
Yes.
Let's leave, break the fucking barriers, get the Kappa, and come kick their ass.
That would be dishonorable.
That would be smart.
Aren't they the same thing?
Yeah, in this.
How does honor work?
For men of our upbringing, it would be.
I am a man of honor, but I'm
dishonorable.
also a man of ambition and cunning. I'm a man of cunning.
That's fine. I would not do that. As
you can feign
I'm
die.
cunning too, but I get it as a player. I get it, but it totally makes sense.
What's more honorable though, getting killed by peasants or getting help from a spirit?
Getting killed by peasants. If
No,
this is a culture that
it's a hotly debated topic even within Rokugan.
Yeah, this is a culture where you would voluntarily, very painfully kill yourself in some.
I asked to see the mine and see their operation.
Going deep. I will Jesus. I want to go break those poles.
Yeah, that's what I'm doing. So, buddy, we're getting closer to them. They're in our way to the poles.
Oh, the mine is like okay. So the mine is closer.
Let's say you're already. So we've got the poles. Let's say you've already come within the perimeter, but only just, and then you've met them. So the poles are maybe 10 feet behind you, and they haven't closed the circle in behind you. So you're not very far from the poles, but you're already inside that perimeter.
Oh, we're inside that. Okay.
Yeah,
I thought. You know what? I say, let me test this fine Tetsubo, and I just walk backwards.
And I will gesture towards getting the hint. I will gesture towards my cousin to back up and kind of stay close to all of us because you have a bow.
All right.
How thick are these poles?
They're about yay thick. They're not very large, maybe 3 inches thick.
Okay, so this weapon will make short work of one.
Now it's the scroll with the jade pin that's the real ward. The stick is incidental.
Well, yeah, okay, that's what I.
You don't need a club. You just need to rip it, yank it.
Well, I just for dramatic.
Which you can.
Effect,
You absolutely can.
I just I swing and smash one of the pendants off, basically.
All right, and you can see Okubo is like, "Hey, you don't stop that and get them!" And he
What's wrong? It's just a banner.
His gang, they all start to rush forward to attack you at that point. So I'll get agility tests from you guys to see who goes first.
We broke one though.
Or excuse me, not agility, but reflexes.
All right, so how do we roll these?
So whatever your reflex is, just roll that and keep that number of dice.
9.
I think for our air crab it's 4, so 4 keep 4 for you, and most of the others should be like 2 keep 2.
Isn't one of the characters get to go first all the time or something?
You might have some kind of ability like that.
10,
one of them I think has an ability to always go first.
Yeah, our air crab acts first during combat because he has the quickness. So if he moves, basically that's in melee though. If somebody moves to attack you, it's almost like an attack of opportunity where you could attack them first. So we got 9 for Kai. What about you guys, Akagi and Matsui?
It's
16
in the
for
chat for me, but I have an 11.
Yeah.
16 and 11. Okay.
It's a low roll. That's okay.
We're gonna survive. We're gonna do fine. I think.
Was
There's only
it
40
What could
of them.
go wrong?
So was 16, was that you, Matsui?
Yes.
Okay. So you go first. They're starting to rush at you guys. One of the PIDs has been smashed. What do you do?
So as we're being rushed, I don't flinch at all. I draw my bow, and as I'm ready to loose an arrow into the foreman's throat. But you have lied multiple times to a samurai. What words you provide? These are forgeries. You will lay down your arms and you will come peacefully to the daimyo, or there will be consequences.
They're not really listening at all. They've already started their rush towards you.
Is the foreman like rushing too?
He's letting them go in front of him so he doesn't get killed.
Okay,
But,
so
but you
I mean,
do have a bow, so and you can.
no, I mean, if he
shoot
doesn't
through.
react to it, if he doesn't immediately capitulate,
He doesn't.
then he's gotten. I am an empathetic and a friendly man, but when you do that, when you insult my honor that way, and you so blatantly
I'm a friendly man.
So
are
Murder you.
he presented
Yeah,
us with a forged document. I don't feel so bad betraying his trust.
Sure.
So yeah.
Well, and remember that the Kappa have disavowed knowledge of what happened to that other samurai. So
yeah,
Yeah,
it
he
sounds
killed
like
the
they might have killed the samurai, which is
May have-
absolutely and possibly many of the other villagers here.
he may
I
have
don't
thrown
know.
him down the waterfall.
Yeah,
So
so
this guy is fucking.
then I'm just checking what I roll. So okay, great. That's so I'm gonna fire an arrow
Right.
upon him. This is gonna be a
I think you're like 8, keep 4 to hit. I think you're like a crazy good archer.
oh my god. Oh my god.
Wow.
So that's gonna be 1 die. That's 1 die of a 23.
Okay. So you you certainly hit with a raise. So you can either get an extra die of damage or perform some kind of maneuver.
It's gonna be a
like-
41. Which is, I don't know what that means.
I think it only allows you. I think this system only has 1 raise per hit.
I am not sure,
So
so
I think
I'm
it's
taking your
just
word for it.
I think it's just a hit with a raise. So either an extra damage dice or a maneuver. And none of these guys are armored, so I'm assuming you're using your flesh cutter arrows.
Yeah, and I can't think of any maneuvers. I don't remember them all. I'm just going to use an extra damage,
Okay.
a damage die
Yeah.
on this person.
So you're 3 keep 4 with that extra die on the flesh cutter.
3 keep 4, not including my strength, right?
No, that should be including your strength.
So it says flesh cutter arrows. What I have here are 2 keep 3. If I
Oh yeah, okay. So it's 4.
So that's
keep,
going to be 4 keep 3. So
3.
it's going to be 5 keep 4.
No, because
right.
the flesh cutter gives you 2, your strength gives you 2, and the bonus gives you 1. So it's 5
So
keep 3.
3. 5 keep 3. Okay.
Yeah.
Got it. Right. 23? Is that right? 23? Yeah.
Sounds right. So 23. So yeah, he's
23.
down. So you can describe how you. He's basically dead.
Great.
So just describe how you kill him with your arrow.
So I again stand absolute the stone-faced grimace of a man of righteous honor, who has had that honor multiple times besmirched, Yeah, so I call that out, that challenge, that drop down your weapons now, or things are going to escalate. And seeing as he starts to move, I immediately loose that arrow, whizzing past the ears of two of his cronies as he sort of moves to try and, well, he's probably backing up as they're coming forward, and as he moves, as he just starts to pivot to make a run for it or bolt or get other people who he might have, that arrow whizzes by and just lodges straight into his throat, emerging slightly out the other side as the shape and aerodynamics of this arrow piercing like butter through the soft flesh of that neck of his, and he goes down immediately as punishment for not obeying the words of a samurai.
All right, so
and we will see if that causes any of the others to see reason.
So Akagi, you're up. So again, you've got the river here with the waterfall. There's a space probably only like 10 feet before the first pole, which has now been destroyed, and that's about where you guys are. And then you're basically being set upon by these other 29 individuals there. So what do you do, Akagi?
So are there any between me and the river?
There are no enemies. No.
I will put my back to the river then.
All right.
And I will simply pull out my katana, obviously, and get ready to kill some fucking stupid-ass miners.
All right. Well, you can start swinging right away, so you can make a kenjutsu test, which is your...
All right,
katana.
and I'm still very confused on how to calculate these rolls here, so...
So you got 4 in kenjutsu, and it's tied to agility, which you also have 4. So you roll 8 total. You only keep as many as you have agility, so you only keep 4. So 8 keep 4 on kenjutsu.
So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 6 here. I might have to use the dice roller app. I only have 6 actual physical die.
No worries. And you've, of course, got that special Caillou Blade, which is unbreakable and ignores 2 points of armor. Not that they're wearing armor. So you roll 5, keep 3 for your damage.
So, let's see. I could trying to use like these dice rollers. So I get 8 d6.
Yeah, and you keep the top 4 of those.
Roll. So it's 6, 4, 5, and a 5. It's 10, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20 total.
All right, so that's 20 is certainly a hit with a raise. So an extra damage dice or a maneuver, and we could say like a maneuver might even be to like use the guy as a human shield to give yourself an extra maybe 5 to either your target number or armor, whichever you prefer.
Yeah, I probably use them for my target number, make myself harder to hit as I hide behind a corpse.
Okay. But you'll still get the damage. 5 keep 3. He might be a dead human shield, but that's okay.
Let's see, it's 5, 11, or is that? I'm bad at math. It's 11.
Okay. So 11. So he's still alive at that point. If you've dealt 11 points of damage. So describe your attack. So what does that look like?
He comes at me with like a pick or something,
Mm-hmm.
and he just swings it down, and it hits right in front of me. So I simply cut across his forearm, and then kind of maybe stab him in the shoulder, but don't take my katana out to put him in front of me and whoever's right behind him.
All right. And then we're through to Kai.
Would I know how many of these banners need to come down for the Kappa to come?
You'd probably presume at least 2. You'd assume that they have a slightly overlapping effect. Now another thing, you could just try to lure these guys out of that zone. Or you could, keep smashing these banners until the Kappa come out to help.
Okay. I move back and basically smash another banner on my way back out of the zone.
All right. And are you moving towards the cliff face or towards the river?
Towards the river.
Okay. So we got 2 banners down. So we'll come through to our good goons. And we'll see if they're actually able to hit anybody. If I can get my dice roller up. Might be a big F on this dice roller. There he goes. So Kai, we're going to have a 16 against your target, so that's not a hit. Certainly not a hit. Yeah, I know you're... Okay, you're also 25, so it's certainly not a hit. And then you get a bonus. Our good Fire Bushi. I think you're at...
I'm at 25.
You're already... Yeah, so you're at 20 total, I believe. So
with armor, it says 20 with armor.
Are you tired? Let's see.
Yeah, it's a TN.
Oh,
it says
yeah.
15, but then it says in parentheses 20 with armor, so I'm at 25 with the 5 boost.
Yes, sir. Perfect. So yeah, as they're coming towards you, why don't you guys describe how you're able to ward and parry and evade this just mobs coming at you?
I just swing my Tsubo back and forth to keep them at bay. And they're just too wary of getting struck to lunge in and properly attack.
Do any of the people attacking me, do they hit their friend at all, causing him more damage?
I think that's a good idea. So I'd say, yeah, they don't give a shit about that guy. Let me just grab some, I think they'd be doing 2 dice of damage. He has no armor. That's 14. He was at 11, so he's at 25. So he's taken an injury at that point. Then he's still alive, but he's not going to be very useful for anything. He's at minus $15 rolls, and I think his average roll he's only going to hit a 10 anyway. So he's pretty messed up.
So perhaps what it looks like for Akagi is they may try to come around the sides, but I'm simply using him as like a big fan. And I'm just throwing him around into their blades.
All right. And what about Matsui?
As these swine come up to me, the first one, you're trying to lunge at me with some club or some pickaxe or hoe. I dodge out of the way of him, catching sort of him on the crook of the bow as I kind of check him into another one, knocking him off balance. I drop the bow as they're now, up on me, and in the same action, for our dramatic effect, drawing my katana and parrying away the crude spear that the other guy has.
Perfect.
To do battle unto them.
We are back to we are back to you, Matsui. But as you guys are all fighting, you see the river starts just foaming and frothing, like it's become suddenly rapids, and so there's certainly a lot of noise coming from that direction of the furious waters churning. No Kappa have made an appearance as of yet, however. Matsui, it is your turn.
Okay. So, I'm going to attack one of them, or attempt to. And my torch's flame flickers allows me an extra attack die while in attack stance. Oh my goodness. Isn't that poetic justice? So that's 20 sorry, that's 11 11 22 28.
All right, that's a raise. So roll damage and either an extra damage dice or a maneuver. And as we said, a maneuver could be to grab a human shield for an extra 5, either on your armor or your
How
target.
close are we to the river?
I think you are probably about 15 feet, and Kai is probably closer to like 5 feet, something like that.
Yeah, I have my back pretty close to it.
You're not overly far, close enough to try to use that maneuver to get him up to the edge of the river, but not quite to throw him in. I think that would require an extra maneuver.
Can I use a maneuver? I think there's a list, but I don't recall. Can I, as a maneuver, I'll keep the normal damage die, but I'll do. Also, I want to run by really. Maybe get under under his blow, do so slash slash at him with my katana, and make a move towards the river.
Sure.
So that's going to be keep 18.
18 damage.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so
Against
plus
one of the
on
goons.
that. So he's nicked.
All right.
Very apropos.
So I've positioned myself. I've sort of with the one I deflected with the katana as I raised it. Now he's on the upswing as I knocked his weapon up, to which I came through, sort of almost checking him, bringing the katana in an upwards motion across his side, and in that same using that momentum of the swing, moving past him, turning to keep my face at the oncoming attackers, but now my back is to the river as I sort of make a brief sprint for it, a couple of steps.
All right. And then we're back to Akagi, I believe.
Yeah. So seeing this guy on my sword is pretty much he's out of a fight. He's bleeding. He's wounded really badly. I'm basically going to take my sword and sling it around behind me to throw him off my sword behind me.
Yeah.
And then with my sword already in attack position, I'm going to bring it down onto somebody else.
Perfect. I love that move.
Yeah, the old throw the guy off and then hit him again. With my torches. So what is the torches flame flickers? What is that?
If you're in attack stance, you get an extra attack die.
Would I be in attack stance?
I think you're assumed to be in attack stance until you change it, and I'm going to maintain attack stance myself.
I'm still learning the rules as well, so I'm keeping it simple, but that does appear to be correct. So yeah, if you want,
I would get 9, keep 4.
Yeah, yes, sir.
Lovely.
Kind of sucks though. So let's see, 1, 2, 4, 4. So 10, 18.
18 to hit. That's a hit, but not quite a raise.
All right.
I'll just roll regular damage.
That is 5.
Your damage is 5, keep 3. Yeah.
Oh, I forgot to clear it. I have no idea what. Can I? I think it's these last ones. Okay. So 10, 16.
All right. So 16. Check his wound track. So he's not quite nicked. So I think we're down to 27. baddies left. And then we're through to Kai. So Kai, you're near the river. You've taken out 2 of those spell posts, or whatever you want to call them. What do you do now? You've got all the goons coming in, and you've been swinging your Tetsubo to keep them back.
Am I able to reach another banner?
Yeah, absolutely.
I go and tear another banner down.
Okay. So as you come up and you smash that jade pin holding it, just flutters away in the breeze. And with that, the river just seems to erupt. It's been frothing, foaming, churning, and now these humanoid figures, these kappa, come diving up, leaping out of the swell of the water, and kind of rushing forward with a great deal of anger in them towards these miners. And as they're doing that and running forward, you can see one of them who's moving quite a bit more slowly than the others. Although he's not wearing the armor and katana, but you believe it's the same one from before. You can see him yelling, "Do not hurt the samurai! They are our friends!" And the others kind of rushing forward to smash into these miners. You see the fear on the miners' face as they realize what's happening. And there are about 10 of these kappas, and they're 7 feet tall. They have these big shells, and they're running forward and just goozling the miners and just choking them to death, dragging them, throwing them, gorilla pressing them back into the river, off the cliff, down the waterfall. So there's this tremendous battle that's joined. Although it's pretty brief, the morale of the miners is breaking quite badly, and they start fleeing almost immediately. So we'll come back to the top. So what do you do at this scene of carnage, Matsui? Do you start picking them off with your bow? Do you start trying to tell the kappa to take some captive, or what do you do?
No, assuming there's no one left on me, they've all bolted.
Pretty much, yeah.
Okay. No, I will not. I will not. I'm not going to shoot them in the back. This is I will let nature take its course as justice through the spirits is taking its due course. I will gather up my bow. I'll gather up the body of the foreman. His faulty paperwork, and that's what I'll be doing in for like a minute, getting ready to get him, because we're taking him back to the daimyo.
Yeah,
Actually, I still had his faulty paperwork on me.
Okay,
yeah,
then.
because I was reading it.
Okay, great.
What about Kagi?
Seeing all of this and seeing like the kappa burst out of the river, I'm filled with a lot of joy, and seeing how they're fighting and they're fighting for their home, it kind of makes me. I'm basically right beside them, fighting and pushing these guys back. I'm in the midst of it all with them.
All right. And what about Kai?
Kai, relishes the opportunity to enjoy the slaughter and blood his new Tetsubo, and just starts cracking heads. No mercy for these murderous thugs who have defiled the land.
All right. It was not very long then before the miners basically will be killed to a man. All of them will be put to death by these kappa, and the kappas are just tearing the camp apart and destroying everything that they can get their hands on. So the kappa who originally had greeted you, the one from before with the samurai armor that he's now, of course, taken off, will kind of come up to you, probably to you, Matsui, as you're not busy finishing off these miners. And he will look at you and say, "Thank you, samurai. You have restored my home to me."
And I give a bow to him or it or she. It is as I have said. Your home is our home. We are as one. It is good. And what has been done here will be put right.
And he'll bow to you just slightly, not enough to spill his water.
I wasn't trying to trick him, but yeah, I get.
But like that's his default bow is kind of the head bow.
Yeah.
If you bow to him, he has to bow equally to you, though. But
okay.
But
that's fine.
He'll just nod his head in great respect. And as the battle is finished, the Kappa just start heading back into the water, and he'll follow them as well, just wading down, diving into that water. And unless you guys join them in further conversation, it won't be long before
I want to talk to them before they leave.
Okay.
But yeah,
I did too.
Sure. So what do you say to the chief Kappa, or indeed to the others?
Kagi, would you like to go first, or?
Yeah, sure. I will approach the chief one and say, it is good to see you have your home again. I hope one day I will have mine as well. I will pull out my wakizashi, not the actual blade part, but the entire, with the scabbard and everything, and I will say, "You wore a sword on your hip when I met you. It is fitting that you wear one when I leave you." And I'll give him my wakizashi.
And he'll take that and just look at it with so much respect. The wakizashi is to a samurai usually even more important than his katana.
Yeah.
And he'll look at you and just say, if there is any way that this spirit can honor you, you need only ask. What you have done is beyond repayment.
Well, I cue in. I say what has been done here was wrong, and what your people did, misunderstanding the situation to the village, was also wrong.
This coming from Kai. That's great.
How can amends be made to the people of the village?
The Kappa just stops and looks like he doesn't really understand how humanity works at all.
Right.
But he will say, if there is anything, we will listen.
They have lost sons and daughters, taken by your people in anger because of these miners. They were innocent souls.
Possibly.
Can you repay the people of the village in any way?
He looks a little confused at first, and he says, the people often ask us for fish. We can provide great bounty. We can make sure the flooding in the spring is gentle. We can ensure that there is water for the rice paddies.
I think that would make amends to the people for the sons and daughters that were taken. The innocent sons and daughters who were taken.
If it can help at all, it will be done.
That will be great help to the people. And please know that not all humans are alike.
He still looks a little confused at that concept.
Yeah,
like,
their morality is different.
Yeah, pretty much any two kappa really are completely interchangeable. Like they really don't have any independent drive at all. But he's trying to understand. It's just very hard for him.
Right.
Anyway, well, I tried.
Yeah.
I will bow with respect to his water, so not to as drip it all out, but a small bow, just out of respect.
Right.
That's how you kill a kappa, but by respecting
Well,
them
it doesn't
enough.
kill them. It just weakens them. To like he's completely weak and helpless.
Yeah.
And it
With
takes
respect to his water, I don't want to paralyze him,
Yeah.
but I'll
Well,
slight out.
and indeed he is still weakened because it'll take several days for the water of life to return to his bowl.
Hmm.
But he'll certainly bow back to you, however deep you bow. He has to.
Yeah, not very much at all. Just a simple head nod
Yeah.
that wouldn't disrupt his life force too much.
But you certainly get the feeling that the Kappa will be the most agreeable spirits within this valley, for years to come, certainly. So do you say anything further before they do depart, go back down into the waters?
Say goodbye.
I say goodbye.
All right. So perhaps we'll narrate our epilogue. You guys have saved the valley. You've ensured prosperity upon it, but you've also come upon this great quantity of jade that these miners have been able to pull out. And jade is supremely valuable, more valuable than gold. So what do you think you would do with that? And also, you've got this forged document which could stir up war between the Takajiro clan and the
I have the document.
yes, between the
So what do
Kazuyuki
you do with the
and
document?
Takajiro clan.
Well, I think we should, if it's possible, because this is an area of dispute, maybe claim the jade for our clan. I don't know if
Sure.
that's possible.
Absolutely.
At least
But
the
we
jade
have
that's
to be
been
very
mined.
specific that it cannot pollute the river.
No, the jade that's already been mined.
Yeah. They have no access to the wood that's still on the ground.
So isn't the valley? It's still under the domain of the Crab clan, but ostensibly a different family, right?
Yeah.
It's a dispute
But
between families.
I think Kai is saying, let's just take the jade for ourselves. We'll bring it
For the
back.
witch hunters.
Yeah, we'll bring it back to the Uni
Not for
witch hunters.
us, but
Oh.
Yeah.
our witch hunter organization.
Yeah,
Yeah.
our
Okay.
past or whatever, right?
No,
Yeah.
yeah, that seems quite
The
reasonable.
crab clan or whatever.
That would be like dragon glass for the wall, right, in Game of Thrones. Somewhere.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Right.
So it would be very valuable to us.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. So you take the jade for the Yumi witch hunters. What do you do about the this forged document? It could, as I said, be used to stir up war potentially.
I present it to the Daimo. I explain that it's a forged document, and explain what happened at the mine. I just completely transparent. I don't embellish. I don't.
Same.
I don't make anything up. I just say just the facts of what I know.
Or use armor and body if that was recovered will be brought.
Yeah,
Yes.
we would have
It
recovered
has
that.
been recovered.
And I keep the Tetsubo.
Absolutely. Now Daimyo Hada will take this and he'll probably nod and read it and reread it and say, "This is grave treachery by our neighbors. They would seek to steal what belongs to our people, our clan. Have no fear that this will be answered, this disrespect." And you could tell that he's really treating this as a legitimate document. You suspect that he really wants to go to war with the neighbors, and this will give him a perfect excuse to launch that war against the Takajiro clan.
He can do as he wishes.
Yeah,
Well,
that's
if that happens and he says all that, I would say, but try not to pollute the river anymore.
He nods and says, "Yes, my clan would never have done this, have let this happen. And I shall make sure that Clan Takajiro despoils no more rivers.
This is good.
I explained to him the recompense negotiated with the Kappa.
Yeah. And as you know,
the reparations rather that they
Right.
will make with terms of prosperity and bringing the fish and all that stuff.
for sure.
He seems very very happy with this news. So once again, the Kuni witch hunters have proven that they are a great boon to all of Rokogan and the people.
And I assume we got Oreo's corpse, right? And
Yes.
the fisherman's sons. We bring those back and to their families.
All right, and you can see Oreo's wife is probably less upset than you might have anticipated. And it almost might click that he spent a lot of time with the fisherman and the fisherman's daughter, and maybe she
Well, the marriage of a
Didn't have
samurai is not a marriage of love
Does
or
he have a son?
attraction.
no. They say he does not have any children. No.
Well, then I guess probably present the sword to his wife.
She will certainly be grateful for that. It is a
Yeah.
very fine katana.
And it will be explained that it was not the Kappa of the river who assaulted one of their court, Oreo. It was these miners from the hills.
Yes.
And I will pipe up on the side of the Kappa and let the daimyo know that perhaps the time of gold and vegetables are over for offerings. They seem to need something more meaning with each offering, rather than simple gold and trinkets.
He'll certainly nod respectfully towards you, but you get the feeling that religion is certainly not something he's concerned with.
Well, it's a spread the word thing,
Yeah. Well, he said they don't.
Yeah.
They follow.
But as he says all those nice things about how we are all where he's grateful and all that, I'll give him the bow he deserved when he first showed up, the full on
The waist bow.
Yeah.
All right. So he's certainly very happy with you guys, and he's very happy to return that kind of respect. Of course, he doesn't offer you any kind of reward. He's keeps saying how
We have
That's
the
right.
jade.
he's
We have the
certain.
jade. That's recompense enough for stewarding.
We didn't tell him about that. at all.
I'm not telling him that we took the jade.
Yeah, no,
No
we
way.
didn't tell him about the jade.
And it doesn't seem to occur to him at the moment either to ask what they were mining or anything like that. He's happy to have the threat over and an excuse for war, which will probably take place next year, because it's getting a little late in the season to go to war this year. But is there anything else you guys want to do on your lead out to narrate an epilogue? What do you think happens to the valley, to your character? Of course, we running future Witch Hunter games, so
Right.
you can always return to these characters.
Yeah, so I will save Akagi. But I think our exit, in much contrast to our approach, being very quiet, being very, serious, I think we leave on much better terms with each other, whereas there's chatter and maybe talk along the road.
All right,
The
excellent.
valley prospers due to the agreement with the Kappa, and the people are happy, and they grow fat from all the fish, and prosperity is brought to the valley.
All right. So it sounds like then, Sean, you think the war would be quick and easy for them. Yeah.
That would be easier with their excess stores of food and good weather and favorable conditions for
All right,
sure,
excellent.
and population growth.
Any final words from Mitsui?
As we, three of us, leave with just as little fanfare as we came in with, I find myself pondering this most recent of experiences, stranger than what we typically deal with, not because of how unusual and how bizarre the foes may have been. Things were comparatively mundane on that front, but I meditate, I ponder upon the how senseless the things were at the onset. What happened with Chibi, the
We
heightened
made up for
emotions, all the dead peasants and whatnot, and how, and yet, at the end, despite the fact that while war is certainly on the horizon, it's a guaranteed, more separation, more loss of cohesion, and yet the community has come perhaps closer together through this loss and through the bounty that they will share afterwards from this sort of communion with the Kappa. And my thoughts continue to go back to that picture that Akagi had drawn. I didn't give it much thought at the time. I mean, perhaps he was drawing it on the road or during one of our many stops. But I keep thinking about it. And I think about it.
Kai listens to this and just says, "I just want to hit something."
This isn't. I'm not saying anything. These are the thoughts of the character. As his home is my home, as we hail from the same family. So, I do not have an answer to this paradox, but I think deeply upon it, and perhaps it is just another step upon the way of the samurai. Both honor and bloodshed, community and loyalty, but warfare as well. Perhaps there is wisdom in here, and perhaps I am one step closer towards understanding that. But
all right, and with that, we will leave behind the Oyama Valley, the beautiful, glittering, glistening, misty valley of waterfalls, and hopefully we'll again return to Rokogan in the future. But for right now, thank you for being my excellent players. We'll thank our viewing audience and bid you all good day and good gaming.